College football's newest bowl comes to beautiful Seattle, Washington. Georgia Tech senior quarterback George Godsey captains the ACC's top passing offense into their 5th consecutive postseason appearance. Head coach Tyrone Willingham and senior quarterback Randy Fasani lead a veteran Stanford Cardinal team looking to become just the 4th squad in school history to reach the 10-win mark. East meets West next in the 2001 Seattle Bowl in Safeco Field in downtown Seattle, the home of baseball's Mariners. Second meeting ever between the 7-5 Yellow Jackets and the 11th-ranked 9-2 Stanford Cardinal. And welcome to Seattle. I'm Dave Barnett. Hope you've had happy holidays so far. Joining me, Bill Curry, Mike Golick, and Michelle Tafoya. Quite an eventful 26 days since Georgia Tech last took the field. They have lost their head coach, George O'Leary, briefly to Notre Dame. They have lost their all-ACC running back, 1,100-yard gainer this year, Joe Burns, to academics. Interim head coach Mac McWhorter wants the job permanently. He may only have it today. There are published reports that Dolphins offensive coordinator Chan Gailey will get the job after today. Their athletic director Dave Brain has told McWhorter there has been no decision yet, but Bill, you worked with him for 9 years at Georgia Tech and Alabama. How does he approach today?
He'll approach it just the same way he approaches everything else. He'll be positive, enthusiastic, demanding, and you'll sense that from the team and the coaching staff. As for the strategic approach to this game, I think they're just going to let it rip and do everything that they've got in their playbook and leave nothing in the bag. The all-important tailback position, the absence of Joe Burns, will be handled nicely, I think, by Sean Gregory. Gregory, elected team captain this year, a permanent team captain by his teammates, filled in for Burns in 1999 when he broke his ankle, gained 837 yards, and Mikey averaged 4.9 yards per carry. He's a good back, but Stanford's got some weapons of their own on offense.
Oh, they've got some firepower, Bill. There is no doubt about it, and it's not just one or the other. It's not run or pass. They're one of only 9 Division I-A teams to average over 200 yards rushing and passing, but don't think balance is boring. These guys put up some incredible numbers, including 37 points a game. Triggerman Randy Fasani gets the ball all over the field. But Michelle, both these teams certainly dealing with different scenarios in this game. One thing they have in common, though, they're dealing with some different circumstances on the field.
Yeah, some logistical issues, Mike, pretty major ones. Look at the field now. You've got the turf and you've got this hard, gravelly infield. The transition between those two surfaces is a major concern. Georgia Tech opted for the screw-in cleats. That's fine on the grass. They're concerned about how it's going to respond to this. Now, Stanford, each player is wearing what he's comfortable in. They each brought 3 pairs of cleats. Now, the other interesting thing is the teams are sharing the same sideline. That's just something you don't see very often anymore. Where that's going to be an issue is in player substitutions. And the teams actually had to practice running on and off the field. They have a gentleman's agreement. They can enter from their own benches, but they can exit through each other's benches. Delay of game penalties are something Mac McWhorter wants to avoid today, Dave. He's saying this is awkward at best.
It is a little bit different. Georgia Tech kicking off the inaugural Seattle Bowl. And the return for Stanford by Brian Allen is a good one. Out across the 35-yard line. 28 yards on the return for the senior from Ontario, California. And the Cardinal, the #1 rushing offense for the first time ever in the Pac-10. And not a bad passing offense as usual. Randy Fasani, final start, senior from Granite Bay, California, with 13 touchdowns despite missing 4 games to a knee injury. He was 6-1 in the games he started. The backs and receivers include Allen, their top ground gainer, just under 900 yards. More the fullback, Wells, Powell, Pierce, and a lot more where they came from at the wideout spots. And they start immediately with a double reverse. Teo Johnson heaving, badly underthrown, and a flag is going to be thrown in the direction of Marvius Hester. It was intended for Ryan Wells. Georgia Tech reading the reverse to Johnson well, but they may get called for a hold on Hester.
Yeah, I think they are. Looked like Hester grabbed him.
Pass interference on the defense. It'll be a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Not the way to start it off. You see the ball's underthrown because of pressure in his face. Receiver trying to come back, and Hester just kind of hooked him as he came back. Kind of light contact, but the referees felt it held him up from getting back to the ball.
This is a Big 12 officiating crew led by referee Randy Crystal today. One play, an entertaining one at that, and the Cardinal will snap it from midfield. 11th ranked team in the country. A chance at 10 wins for just the 4th time in school history. Allen takes the toss for 8 or 9 yards into Georgia Tech territory inside the 42. And the offensive line, a very experienced group for the Cardinal.
Very experienced and led by Eric Heichman, the left guard, number 75, of whom the offensive coordinator Bill Diedrich says this may be the best offensive lineman I've ever been around.
And on the defensive side, keep an eye on Greg Gathers. 10 sacks. He had more sacks in the ACC than everything Julius Peppers from North Carolina. Gathers, you'll see it end. You'll also see him play some defensive tackle as well in the nickel situations.
That's Gary Johnson, injured. Junior tackle from LaGrange, Georgia, who was third for the Yellow Jackets with 4 sacks this year. Checking out his left eye. And this after a 9-yard gain by Brian Allen. Ted Roof, defensive coordinator in his 3rd year, said before all the upheaval involving George O'Leary, this was already the most gut-wrenching season he has ever been through. Losses in overtime, losses on the final play, in the final seconds, wrecking what they hoped would be a strong run at a national championship, and turned into a disappointing 5-loss season.
Yeah, this Tech team was 7 points from being a 10-1 team. A total of 1 minute and 23 seconds and 7 points. That's enough to keep you awake nights.
It's a lot of what ifs, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Boy, oh, boy.
Not sure I've ever heard of anything like that.
Make your hair grayer than it already is, Bill.
Well, thanks a lot, Michael, for pointing that out.
Next time they get a shot in the booth, we'll make sure everybody
You had a lot to do with that, I must say.
Casey Loesch is the replacement tackle for Gary Johnson, 2nd and 1 Cardinal. With 3 wides, and Fasani's pass hangs up Ryan Wells, who is belted by Hester. But he manages to hang on at the 37. First down, Stanford.
Linebackers, keep an eye on Darrell Smith. He's had a busted forearm through a lot of the season, was playing with a cast. You'll also see him on passing situations. He'll go down and play some end as well. Very, very versatile.
And the Tech secondary, led by Jeremy Myers. 2nd time he's named 2nd team All-ACC junior. 3-year starter with Collins, Hester, and Young. Out of the eye on 1st and 10, Allen. Through the middle and keeps the pile moving. Wow. 4 or 5 white jerseys it takes to bring him down, and he's close to another first down.
That's the way to run the ball. 235-pounder just rolling it along. No, Allen, 200-pounder, even smaller than that, but keep the legs churning. Watch the legs keep moving. The lean, the legs, and a little help there from your fullback. Jared Newberry, go ahead and hit you in the face and moving you down the field a little more.
I think he'd take it. That's terrific running by Brian Allen.
By all rights, should have been a 2 or 3 yard game. Turns
not
into
very good
9.
tackling either.
And he gets a breather. Kerry Carter's first carry, first down to the 25, where he's tackled by Jeremy Myers.
Very important here now, Randy Fasani's mobility. Stanford, Georgia Tech hopes, will not continue to just ram the ball down the field. And when Fasani sets to pass, those 2 defensive ends, Gathers and Rogers, are going to get some pressure on him. He's very mobile. He says his leg is not 100%, the knee that was injured, but it's good enough to run for some first downs, and that will be crucial to Stanford.
Tyrone Willingham, 7th year, 44, 35, and 1 with the Cardinal. Now Fasani on the roll, and the throw is incomplete at the 17-yard line, intended for Luke Powell.
Here's where it starts to get a little fun. Michelle talked about how both teams are on the same sideline. So as you see the offensive team move away from where their sideline is, you're going to start to see the guys have to run a little farther into the game to get their players in.
And those substitution coaches that have to get the units all the way down there are going to have to get them started earlier than normal.
So 2nd and 10, opening possession of the game, which started with a double reverse pass and a defensive holding call, setting up the Cardinals with good field position. Carter, room around end inside the 10, 1st and goal at the 6, with Casey Moore, the senior fullback, a strong lead block that time out in front of Carter.
Number 49.
Good blocking. Here comes Moore. Watch the fullback lead now, 240 pounds. Just pushing just enough for Carter to cut inside. But Daryl Smith has to run him down. You'll see Daryl Smith coming in. Again, you'll see the big brace on his elbow, something he's been playing with pretty much most of the year.
Carter to the 5, where it's 1st and goal. 2 tight ends. Carter near the goal line. The offensive line for the Cardinal regularly knocking Tech's defensive front back 4 or 5 yards. Nick Rogers, the defensive end, closes down just before he reaches the goal line. 2nd and goal at the 1.
Stanford opened with razzle-dazzle, got a break on the penalty, but they've gone to basic, knock them off the ball. This is old-style football here. Just great job up front by Greg Schindler, number 69, knocking Gary Johnson back into the end zone. They won't have to run anything else if they can do that all day.
Allen back at tailback for 2nd and goal. Allen with the toss, tripped up by Chris Young, the quarterback, knifing in just in time to prevent Allen from going through a wide open hole. And now 3rd and goal for Willingham to consider.
Good drive by Stanford again, mixing the run and the pass. I talked about one of only 9 Division I-A teams with averaging over 200 yards rushing and passing. You look at their mixture through the year, 352 runs, 332 passes. So it's right at about 50-50. I know, Bill, as a former coach you are, you love that, the spreading out of that. I mean, very, very even.
Just outside the 1, still in the eye, still trying the middle. Allen, no chance this time, and the best surge by far by the Georgia Tech defensive front.
And Mike, you're exactly right. What Bill Diedrich talked about is he wants to achieve more balance within the passing game, more throws to the tailbacks, fullbacks, and the tight ends, but he's very pleased with the balance overall, and Georgia Tech has decided to play a little defense really for the first time today.
They got some balance from the line and linebackers right there. They all met the tailback. Look for a rollout here or possibly a play-action pass.
Allen out, 256-pound Carter back in at tailback as the Cardinal go for it. 4th and goal. Carter stood up, no gain. Georgia Tech opens with a goal line stand.
Like I said, should have been a rollout or should have been a play-action pass, Dave.
Daryl Smith, number 51, is the guy that Ted Roof, the defensive coordinator, believes in most. He's played much of the year with a badly injured elbow. Coach Roof told us last night that Daryl's the best he's been this year.
Boy, an impressive opening march until it got down to the 1, and Georgia Tech holds. Well, not too far away, the Space Needle. And the Seattle Center beneath it.
I saw Fraser Crane there the other day.
Having a latte, no doubt.
He and Niles were.
Who's that?
Oh, I'll tell you the next break, Bill.
Georgia Tech's offense will start at its own 3 after their defense holds 4 snaps inside the 5. And George Godsey will throw from the middle of his own end zone and wide open over the middle out to the 16-yard line. Not a bad start for the Yellow Jackets. A 14-yard gain for Sean Gregory.
And they got the start because of a great play by their defense. Again, you're going to see Stanford try and take it wide. Georgia Tech forces it back inside right away. Great job. Daryl Smith cleans it up, but a fantastic job of forcing it inside by Chris Young. Second time he did that down by the goal line.
Gregory, the starting tailback, with Joe Burns academically ineligible. Godsey now 2 for 2 as he goes wide for the first time, and Jonathan Smith, their second leading receiver, 53 catches on the year. So Godsey, in his final performance, 3rd all-time leading ACC passer in history, behind only Chris Weinke, last year's Heisman winner, and Joe Hamilton. Gregory is a senior who has filled in very admirably before. Glover with Smith, Campbell, their all-time leading receiver, and Matt Day, a good target at tight end. Second down and 1, a play fake. Godsey heaving deep for Campbell, open, overthrown at the 30. He had a couple of steps at least on Reuben Carter.
You'll enjoy watching this left tackle, number 70, Nat Dorsey, the youngest player on the field, turned 18 after he started his first game as a college freshman this year and has done a marvelous job. First string All-Atlantic Coast Conference.
Stanford's defensive front, Lee, Leonard, Albrecht, and Hoover. They led the Pac-10 in run defense for just the second time in school history. And that pileup at the 28 should produce a Georgia Tech first down for Gregory, and it does. Cardinal linebackers, all seniors. Coy Wire was their leading rusher 3 years ago. He's their leading tackler each of the last 2 years, only player in Cardinal history with that double. And Tank Williams leads the secondary.
Well, keep an eye on him, the only defensive back All-American ever at Stanford. 6'3", 225, 4'4", 40. You will see him play on Sundays.
Godsey, another short drop, and a completion out to Kelly Campbell, good for about 8 yards.
Well, what we've seen already out of Georgia Tech, you're going to see it. They are going to air the ball out, and they have plenty of people to air it out, too. Campbell, Smith, Glover, Watkins, all 40-plus receptions. Godsey does a great job spreading the ball around. You hear about the saying, run to set up the pass. Georgia Tech is going to pass to set up the run today.
Campbell gets a breather. Third leading receiver in the history of the Atlantic Coast Conference. As Gregory is stood up by Coy Wire, showing you why he led them in tackles in 2000 and again in 2001. First team All Pac-10 linebacker.
Coy Wire, when I came out here to watch him practice yesterday, I thought, now the safety's playing middle linebacker, and the middle linebacker's playing safety because the big guy is back there, number 13, and Coy looks like a little guy, but he doesn't hit like a little guy.
He's 6'1", 218 at linebacker. Tank Williams, your safety, is 6'3", 225.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing.
Really good players, both of them.
So 3rd and 3. Smith in motion, fake to him. Godsey with the option pitch, and Gregory should have the first down. He'll have it by a couple of feet at the 39. Gary Cobb up. A rare option run this year. In the bowl game last year, the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Godsey tearing the ACL, and that has prevented him from being much of a running threat.
It has, and this option normally is about a third of the Georgia Tech run offense, and they've had to really cut it down this year. That was an exotic there with the fake of the reverse. Got him the first down this time.
Exotic, all right.
We all got the feeling, talking to McWhorter and his coaches, no club would be left in the bag for Georgia Tech today. Everything they've got, they're going to throw at the Cardinal. Close to another first down to Campbell, covered by Reuben Carter.
Yes, Mike, exotic is something out of the ordinary, interesting, fun to talk about. You should jump all over that.
And they are, and that's exactly, as Dave said, what you're going to see out of Georgia Tech today. They are going to be all over the place. Stanford, as we saw, jumped into it with the reverse pass right off the bat, so we'll see some fireworks today.
Godsey, 4 of his first 5 for 40 yards. Moved it from their own 3 to midfield, and Glover with a flag thrown very late from about 20 yards away, looking at Carter. He and Glover tangled up. Glover cut inside, pass was thrown outside, and then here comes the flag.
Glover wasn't even looking for the ball.
Well, at this stage of the game, you wouldn't expect Godsey and Glover to have a communication foul up. They've probably thrown several thousand passes.
No flag on the play. The pass was uncatchable.
That's the right call. That's the right call right there.
That was a good call.
Yep,
That was a
job.
miscommunication, obviously, between the veteran quarterback and the record-holding wide receiver, Kelly Campbell. They'll get that straightened out quickly. Coach McWhorter, doesn't take long to get that head coach demeanor.
On 3rd and 1, The sneak across midfield for the first. And down to Michelle.
Hey, Dave, one other interesting challenge is for the offenses is calling in the plays. And Bill O'Brien and fullback Brian Camp are calling in the plays for Georgia Tech. And they have to be blocked by a couple of the backup quarterbacks to make sure the Stanford end of this sideline can't see what they're calling in. Stanford's having that same challenge, guys.
Spying.
4 wides from the Cardinal 49. And the dump over the middle finds Will Glover. Very steady, 6, 7, 8 yards on first down. Godsey accurate on this opening drive. The sidelines both across the way, both benches next to each other. And so the communication as Georgia Tech gets closer to the goal line they're driving to will be harder because their bench is along the side they're just now leaving. The half of the field to your left. Another short toss. Campbell immediately wrapped up, but not until he has the first down does Carter get it.
Nice job of Godsey's recognition. Nice job by Godsey recognizing the blitz. You're not going to see the Cardinal do that very much. The Cardinal defense likes to play zone, but here comes Tank Williams up the pipe, along with Friedrichs, the linebacker. Immediate recognition, breaking off of the route by the wide receiver, and another first down.
This is the 13th play of this drive, or will be, after a Cardinal timeout call with 5 minutes 13 seconds to go from their own 3 to the 37 of Stanford. Well, Stanford, after being stopped on 4 plays inside the Georgia Tech 5, turned it over to the Tech offense at their own 3. 12 plays later, they have reached the Cardinal 37. And Godsey, after the timeout called by Stanford, 6 of 8, 52 yards. Has a 1st and 10. Matt Vey in motion, give to Gregory for no gain up the middle. Hit immediately by Travis Pfeiffer and Matt Fredericks.
And you think about the call that Tyrone Willingham made down there on 4th down at the goal line, and in the surface of it, it doesn't look good, but normally you would expect to stop them, Mike, get them to punt the ball, and you get field position again. But Georgia Tech has driven it off the goal line with 6 out of 8 passing by Godsey. This is vintage Godsey quarterback play.
And before that play, it's been 8 passes and 4 runs. They doubled up on the runs, just what they said they were going to do. They may be airing it out all day.
They run Gregory again, tripped up just as he reaches the 30 and had some room over there. Had Pfeiffer not gotten him, so 3rd and about 4 coming. Now Gregory has been behind Joe Burns all year, but 2 years ago their leading rusher, over 830 yards. He's a captain. He's a senior from Homewood, Illinois. Got his degree 12 days ago, so not exactly untested. Although they'd love to have Burns and his 1,100 yards, the first team All-ACC tailback. On 3rd down, another strike inside the 15 goes Smith to the 5 and cut down there by Gary Cobb. 27 yards on 3rd down. Godsey to Jonathan Smith.
Nice route, slot receiver took off straight up the field. Smith came underneath. Great pass, hits him in stride. That's the key. Right in stride. Smith doesn't have to break it at all, can stay that 1 step ahead of the defender and gain those yards after the catch.
A 92-yard drive so far. 1st and goal from the 5. Will Glover in motion. Has it on the end around and steps in untouched for the touchdown.
Nice job of
cannot
blocking.
have been, Bill, many more impressive drives than that one just turned in by Georgia
Well, I mean,
Tech.
you don't play football for almost a month, and you come out and execute. How many plays was that? 18 plays, whatever it was. And then you run the reverse perfectly. Great blocking there by Kelly Campbell, too, number 6.
16 plays, 97 yards, and Luke Manger adds the PAT.
beautiful drive, 16 plays, 97 yards, culminated by this reverse. Excellent running by Will Glover. Good block by Kelly Campbell. Georgia Tech into the end zone and up 7-0 here in Seattle.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2001 Seattle Bowl is presented by 989 Sports. Live to compete, only on PlayStation and PlayStation 2. And in part by Subaru. Visit us at Subaru.com to see our full line of all-wheel drive vehicles.
Both these teams have remarked on their good luck weather-wise this week. It's been rain-free, pretty warm for this time of year in Seattle. Sun's been out most of the time. And Georgia Tech drives 97 yards after a goal line stand to take a 7-0 lead. Allen, 4 yards deep, will take the touchback. The Stanford offense drove 10 plays, 47 yards before failing on the 4th and goal, and then the defense worn out every which way on that 6 minutes, 16-second march, culminated on the end-around touchdown by Glover.
Bill, they always say when you start a season, defense is usually ahead of offense. Well, both these teams, before the Bulls have a long period off, you would think that would be the same, but it looks like both offenses are clicking here a little better than both defenses.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm really impressed by both these offensive staffs, the job they've done with their team.
So Fasani out from his 20. And the give to the fullback, Casey Moore, as we check in with Michelle.
Well, Dave, Georgia Tech defensive coordinator Ted Roof was very happy with Tech's goal line stance earlier in the game, but he reminded them Stanford shouldn't have gotten that far in the first place. He said, and I quote, "This ain't the good ship lollipop. It's game time. Fun's over. It's time to play." Bill, you used to coach him. Sound familiar?
Yeah, if he could put a headgear on and go butt somebody in the mouth, that's exactly what he would do.
Good ship
Short of that,
lollipop.
he's going to stop the lollipops.
2nd and 2, and the short toss is caught out of bounds. Goes Teo Johnson with a first down at the 35.
What a fascinating story Teo is.
You're
The
not
guy's
kidding.
6'7", 245. Mike, he's playing wide receiver at Stanford. He's bigger than I ever was as an offensive lineman in the NFL, and he can run a lot faster. He's a basketball player, marvelous hands, helped him win a couple of games, most notably Oregon. And the quarterback just throws the jump ball up there, and Teo goes and takes it. How do you defend that?
Hit him really hard when he catches it.
You got to jump high just to hit him.
Willingham says this is a guy who could play 17 or 18 different positions. Had gotten a look at quarterback. It's wide out right now, and Allen around the right side for 5 yards into the secondary, stopped by Jeremy Myers.
Stanford has a young offensive tackle, a sophomore, Quaim Harris, number 77. And these guys up front, this Stanford offensive line is just whipping Georgia Tech in the running game, and they've been doing it all day. Quaim comes off a nice scrape-off block. He picks off the linebacker, and another 5-yard gain for Stanford.
4 offensive linemen, first or second team, all Pac-10 for that Cardinal group this year. And they led the league for the first time ever in rushing. Another give to Moore, the fullback. Bounces off a couple of hits. Comes up just short of the first down at the 44. Michelle?
Been talking about the offensive line of Stanford, Dave. Look at the number of starts each of these 5 starters has coming into this game. Chambers, 22 straight. Heitman, 34 straight. You've got 2 with 31 of the last 34. Harris, the youngster, 11 straight. But Heitman told me they're all friends off the field as well. And offensive coordinator Bill Diedrich says communication on the line is paramount, and the time together has helped amazingly.
They get the big back, Carter in, 56 pounds heavier than Allen. On 3rd and about a half yard. He's not needed, though, as Fasani sneaks and easily picks up the first.
What Georgia Tech is doing on defense is they're bringing a lot of people. They're blitzing, run down blitzes, bringing backers, secondary people. This is Ted Roof's plan to deny the running game. But if your big guys up front are getting knocked off the ball, it doesn't matter how many you got in the box.
Well, that's exactly right. It hasn't stopped the Stanford offense. They're balanced, they're running, they're throwing, they're doing both right now.
Tech defense excelled throughout the ACC season. Second against the rush, third in total defense. Fasani gets it off, and almost went right into Corey Collins' lap. He had been tripped up, still almost got credited with an interception.
Corey Collins could have got his head around quickly. When you're laying on the ground, it's tough to think about intercepting the ball.
Well, that, you know what, we talked about how Godsey, when the Georgia Tech was blitzed, how he read it and got rid of the ball and the receivers broke it off. Well, this time Brett Pierce, the tight end, did not. He was open down the middle, but he never looked back. He didn't read the blitz coming. So Fasani threw the ball right where he should have, and Pierce didn't get the pickup.
4 wide, 2nd and 10. 44 seconds in the opening quarter. Draw play. Carter with room. And another broken tackle knocked out near the first down at the 45 by Myers with 37 seconds.
Now that play was supposed to go inside, but Darrell Smith, who is playing out at end, you'll see him come up, and then underneath, you see he's going to come underneath and open up the outside. Takes himself right out of the play. There's no help on the outside.
And the academic All-American Heitman, number 75, left guard, marvelous job of blocking his man Fred Wright and keeping him out of the play, turning him in so that his back's got a place to run outside.
Last time Fasani sneaked on 3rd and less than a yard. This time the fullback Moore. And another first down to the 43.
And Mike, another thing that goes with this time off, and Coach Willingham's concerned about it with his defense, I'm sure, as Georgia Tech is tackling. You just can't practice full-speed tackling against good backs and receivers, and neither team has tackled well up to this point.
And when if you thud in practice where you just go and wrap up and try and do form tackle, that doesn't prepare you for game day.
You're seeing a lot of people slipping off of tackles, especially Georgia Tech.
Maybe the last play of the first quarter. Stanford's second possession, marching nicely again, caught near another first down by Johnson. And finally Collins slings him down. They're going to give him forward progress to the 32, and the second quarter will open with 1st and 10 Stanford. Stopped on the 5 the first time they got it. 97 yards later, Georgia Tech had taken a 7-0 lead. Second quarter now at Safeco Field in Seattle, the inaugural Seattle Bowl, presented by 989 Sports. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Mike Golick, and Michelle Tafoya. 7-0 Georgia Tech. 16-play touchdown drive covering 97 yards after a goal line stand by the Tech defense. Both times Stanford has had it, they have moved at will. At least they did until they got inside the Tech 5 on their first possession. They got a 1st and 10 at the 32. And Fasani with plenty of time, throwing complete near another first down, as the catch will get him 9 yards. The ESPN game track highlighted by that goal line stand. 4 cracks inside the 5, and they didn't get close.
And George Godsey, 7 out of 9, 78 yards at his best.
Will Glover gets to cash it in on the little end around. Great block by Kelly Campbell for the 7-zip lead.
9 yards on that toss to Kerry Carter on first down. Luke Powell in motion. Carter with the toss. Stood up, may have kept the progress going enough for the first. Ricardo Wimbush, leading tackler with 96 stops on the year at outside linebacker.
Now I got to say, that's the first really good tackle I've seen from Georgia Tech today. Wimbush got his head across. He drilled the big back Carter, kept his feet moving, and brought him to the ground instead of just bouncing off of it. That's what the coaches are going to want. Coach McWhorter and Coach Roof.
First time we saw a linebacker pretty much free there. You see a lot of movement on that Georgia Tech defense. They'll start with 3 down linemen, then another one will come down. They'll slide. They're trying to confuse the offense of Stanford. worked on that play, but it hasn't worked much today.
Fourth time for the Cardinal, needing only one on third down. Allen back in. He's got it. Nice burst inside the 20 to maybe the 18-yard line to the tackle by Darrell Smith, the middle linebacker.
Bill Diedrich, offensive coordinator for Stanford, doing a nice job of calling his plays. It's really fun to call plays when everything's working, right, Bill? When those big guys up front are knocking them off the ball, it doesn't matter what you call.
13th play of this drive coming. 3 extended marches. 2 of them by the Cardinal. Allen not able to bounce this one outside. Nice closing speed by Collins up from strong safety.
Now the Ted Roof theory of stemming, meaning to move the line and linebackers prior to the snap, but after the quarterback calls the audible. Watch them here, they're moving. Okay, that's after Fasani has called the play, so they've got an extra man right there. Nice job, nice tackle again. Tech's tacklings begin to improve. Corey Collins, number 4.
Collins, a former 100-meter state champion in New Jersey. On 2nd and 9, Fasani scrambles, has room and slips just as he reaches the line of scrimmage.
Now, as we said in the open, the beginning of the game, Fasani's mobility is going to have a lot to do with this game because these defensive ends for Georgia Tech are going to get pressure on him, Mike.
Yeah, Rogers going inside, but look at Fasani. Fasani wasn't thinking about sliding feet first either. He's a 235-pounder. He's trying to cut to make a play, and he slips and falls down. But he's the guy that's going to throw his head in there a little bit.
Yes, he is, but the basic rule of thumb in any kind of sport, you got to cut off the correct foot. He cut off the inside. There's a guy that cut off the right foot a lot.
Wow.
Yes.
Football player. Watching the 15th play of this drive, and again Fasani having to scramble, looks to the end zone, and the catch is made out of bounds by Luke Powell. Thrown maybe a 1/10 of a second earlier. That's a touchdown. Instead, it is 4th and 9, and the field goal unit on.
Good pressure by Darrell Smith that time. Again, he's at linebacker, and it's a passing situation, so he'll go down on the line. It's the defense is at 35 sacks this year, 2nd in the ACC to Maryland's 38.
So Mike Baselli, senior, on to try a 35-yarder out of the hold of Eric Johnson.
In the dirt.
See how he handles the change in surfaces. A little bit of a low snap, but no problem on the hold or the kick, and Baselli has the Cardinal on the board. But they do have to settle for 3 after another long march. 7-3 lead, Georgia Tech. Stanford has had 2 possessions, 25 snaps, and 109 total yards, but only the field goal that Baselli just put in from 35 yards. Georgia Tech about to have it for the 2nd time. First time they drove 97 yards on 16 plays. And got an end-around touchdown run by Will Glover. This will be returned from the 8 by Kerry Watkins, who slips but doesn't touch a knee and finally is down at the 18-yard line. And we send you down to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Dave, players and coaches from Georgia Tech have told us this week that Mac McWhorter has handled his interim head coaching position as well as can be expected. In fact, incredibly well. George Gotze told me he likes that McWhorter wants your effort, but he likes his time management. If we can get in and out of practice quickly, then fine. We don't have to use all the time allotted. And offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien says McWhorter is, quote, the most positive person I've been around in football. Dave Brain, the athletic director at Georgia Tech, turning down our interview today to talk a little bit more about McWhorter's future, which is understandable, Dave.
And O'Brien and Ruth both saying they were given a little more leeway to call things the way they saw it all day long. Matt Vay saw a wide open middle, and the tight end has 26 yards out across the 45-yard line.
You got to love how the tight ends, the big guys, catch that ball in the middle, Bill, and just kind of hang on to that ball like a fullback. Don't they? What fun watching them run with the ball. Big man, he's going to come here in motion and just take it right down the middle of the field. Good job by Gotze with the defender in his face.
Godsey out of the gun. He's 8 out of 10, 104 yards, and finds Glover again, the middle, wide open for the Yellow Jackets to exploit, and that one goes 20 yards down to the 37.
Now, what Georgia Tech is doing is exploiting the middle of the field, what Homer Smith, the great quarterback coach, called the mini field. Too deep coverage involves the safeties being responsible for being on the hashes, and there's an open area in the middle where the linebackers are responsible for covering quick people and big people. Georgia Tech is exploiting that on this drive.
You saw the Cardinal defense, which was the best in the league against the run this year, but among the worst in the country against the pass. This is going to be a halfback pass inside the 10. It's incomplete, intended for a leaping Glover and thrown by Jonathan Smith. Well, as they told us, nothing left in the bag in the Georgia Tech playbook, including lining up Smith in the backfield and the wide receiver throwing the deep ball.
Yeah, they did not fool Stanford on this one, though.
Leaping with him was Ryan Fernandez. 2nd and 10. Godsey to throw this time, and the middle again was there. Smith not able to hang on. We are joined by, when you say Stanford football, the name you probably see immediately leap to mind, John Elway. How special is this to get a chance to see Stanford in a bowl game?
It's always nice. I mean, especially so when I was there, we didn't get to go one. So Tyrone's done a great job with the Cardinal, and it's nice to be able to come watch him play.
You got to be impressed by both quarterbacks, but Randy Fasani's been sharp.
Yeah, they have. They're both throwing the ball well, and unfortunately Stanford hasn't got it in there. But it seems like whoever comes up with the stop's going to win this football game.
Here's 3rd and 10 for Georgia Tech. All day, Godsey, and incomplete at the 32, intended for Kerry Watkins. You're not quite as busy as when you were playing, but what takes up your time these days?
I've got 4 kids. That's really what takes up my time, as you probably know, chasing those kids around. But I've really enjoyed it. I've had a chance to play a lot of golf and kind of looking to see what I'm going to do next, and I haven't quite got that figured out yet.
Did that guy ever chase you down?
I think between me and my brother Bob, we sacked John, I think 1.5 times between the 23 years my brother and I played.
Maybe Reggie White helped.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Do you miss it on Sundays, though, John? I'm sure game days, that's something that never goes away.
That's something we'll always miss that, but it's nice not taking the hits anymore.
Campbell takes a hit, but they get a 4th and 10 converted. 18 yards. Godsey with a strike to his favorite target. Flag is down, though.
Oh, here you go, John. Nice, you see, nice pass by Godsey on the out route. Difficult throw for a quarterback. Puts it right there.
Put it right on the numbers.
When you see two teams come out after all this time bowl preparation, you know they haven't played in a month or so, and the quarterbacks execute so well. That's got to make a statement about how they've been working.
It really does. I mean, anytime you lay off for 45 days like they have, and they come out and put the ball in the numbers like they have today is something. And that just goes to show you that they've obviously done a lot of work, not only before today, but in the years prior.
The gain was sufficient for a first down. By rule, 1st and 10, Georgia Tech.
A little bit of celebration or threw the ball or something at the end of the catch. Great pass by Godsey. Again, top passing team in the ACC. I think he gets up here and the little dance in the first down.
Georgia Tech
can't do any of that anymore, John.
To be just a little smarter than that. Kelly, you're smarter than that.
Back at the 34, Godsey going for it all, and it is caught. Touchdown, Campbell.
But John, talk a little bit about what that kind of execution takes. People don't realize that's years of work between quarterbacks and receivers.
You know what that really is, and it's a 5-step drop by Godsey and just put it up, and that's more of a timing route. People don't realize that go route is more of a timing route, and you try to put it about 40 yards downfield and put some air under it and let your receiver beat the guy one-on-one, just like he did right there.
Kelly Campbell, 34 yards from Godsey, and Monge on to try and make it 14-3 Georgia Tech.
We're going to see if you got any more eligibility, John.
John Elway, pleasure. Thanks for spending some time with us.
My pleasure. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Privileged to have you with us, John.
Good to
It's
see you.
nice to see you in street clothes and not chasing me around.
Yeah, I didn't chase long.
One more look at Campbell beating Reuben Carter 34 yards to extend the Yellow Jacket lead here in the second quarter to 14-3.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2001 Seattle Bowl, presented by 989 Sports, is brought to you by Singular, the wireless company that supports self-expression nationwide. By Pacific Life, annuities, insurance, investments. Discover the power of Pacific Life. And by New Edge Clean Shaving Gel. It helps lift dirt and oil every time you shave.
14-3 Georgia Tech. Ryan Wells returning the kick out to the 21-yard line. After a John Elway-like 34-yard touchdown pass, Godsey to Campbell tonight, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Capital One Bowl week continues with the mainstay Independence Bowl. Iowa State running back Ennis Haywood leading the surprising Cyclones into Shreveport. They meet Andrew Zhao and the Crimson Tide as Capital One Bowl week continues only on ESPN. Ennis Francione gets the Crimson Tide into a bowl in his first year. Randy Fasani with only 3 points to show for 2 impressive drives and now down by 11. And that swing pass overthrown. Was that a backwards pass? It is ruled not to be, but it was close. Intended for Kerry Carter.
You talked a lot about Fasani and the kind of hits he'll take. I go back to John Elway, who was just in the booth, and I always remember when we get ready to play John, they always said if you're coming from his blind side, and Fasani and he were about the same size, always go for his upfield hip. Elway was one of the best at sensing you were there and spinning out. You thought you had a clean shot on him, and he would spin out of it, and all of a sudden he'd be on the corner making a big play on you.
2nd and 10. And the fullback, Casey Moore, getting a workout. He ended the season maybe their hottest running back over their last 2 games. Carried only 8 times, but for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns.
At 31 carries on the year. He's a senior. I think he's paying off Ty to give him the ball a little more. What do you
that's
think?
about 13 yards a carry. That's a good payoff. You didn't have to pay off Ty if you're averaging 13 yards a carry. He's done a heck of a job today as well.
Gets some 8th there. 4 carries, 22 yards. 3-year starter, his 33rd consecutive today out of Largo, Florida. 3rd and 2. And Fasani having to make it up as he goes. Gently, but Moore hangs on. First down to the 38.
Exactly what we were talking about, Mike. That's your favorite defense, that Bears, that Buddy Ryan defense. They lined up in the double eagle, Bears defense. Everybody was covered, and Fasani's movement made the play.
And the eagle we'll talk about, and we'll show you as the game goes on what we mean by that, but it got Fasani on the move. He does a nice job of buying some time, wait for Moore to get open to move the chains.
Big backfield in there with Moore at 240, Carter at 256, tailback, and Fasani, 230-pounder himself at quarterback, and give to Carter maybe a couple. Really jumps out at you how loose Georgia Tech looks, and with all that their program has been through, losing the head coach, wondering who's going to replace George O'Leary, hoping that it will be Mac McWhorter, but no control, obviously, over that Dave Brain decision. And then losing their top running back, and they're playing as if they're here having nothing but fun, which is the whole idea of a bowl to begin with.
The best advice Mac McWhorter gave the players was you can't control who's going to be the next coach, or Joe Burns not here. Control what you can, and that's to get on the field and play.
Fasani again forced out of the pocket and runs out of room at the 40. Actually, they'll mark him out at the 38.
What Georgia Tech is doing, the play before the running play, there was a run-down blitz so that every gap was full of a white shirt. So anticipating some more of that, a certain pass route is called and they get the zone and there's nobody open. So Fasani moves around, still can't find anybody open, and wisely steps out of bounds so he can take his shot on 3rd and 9.
Just keep an eye on this defense. They're moving all over the place before the snap. May not do it here. May just be in the zone.
Blitz comes. Smith couldn't hang on. And Fasani again keeping first down to the 40 of Georgia Tech. Run down by Kieran Fox. But Randy Fasani gets 20 yards out of it.
Precisely what we're talking about, whether it's John Elway or Randy Fasani, some athletic ability, and here comes Smith off the corner. He's got him. He's got him dead to rights right here. Now watch what happens. He should have him. He lunges, tries an arm tackle. Fasani's too good for that. Nice ball security, puts the ball away and runs for a first down. Crucial in this game.
Allen back into tailback. Fake is to him. Fasani hit by Myers on a safety blitz and throws incomplete deep. Intended for Powell.
Well, he got laid out by Myers, who actually hesitated a little bit on the blitz and then kept going. Nobody blocked him. He probably could have got there before the pass came off. There's a slight hesitation, but he still made Fasani pay for it. Again, all that movement. Myers coming from a safety position, sneaking up.
And you never have a blocker for the free safety. When he blitzes, first of all, he needs to get there.
Yeah,
You're liable to get burned, but you don't ever have a blocker for him.
Second team all-conference again for Myers. Fasani remarking, getting ready for this defense, about how hard their looks were to read. Didn't pick up that last one quite in time. Again forced to scramble. And the throw is caught by Johnson. Myers appeared to have a hand on it, was close to picking it off, and instead Johnson takes it away from him and knocked out at the 34.
Linebacker Key Fox and Chris Young, a corner, both there. I really think these basketball guys are so good with their hands. Watch Teo Johnson absorb this football. He sees his quarterback in trouble.
Smart move there.
Now, the ball just laid up for him, and he just takes it away. He just takes it away from Key Fox.
He's trying to take it into the paint then, like he's got the basketball on this move after he goes.
So 3rd and 3. Another blitz picked up. Fasani down. Sacked at the 44 by Nick Rogers.
That was a meeting at the quarterback right there. You knew it was going to happen sooner or later. They've been filling up all the gaps. This one coming from the top. You see where all the pressure's coming. There's 4. Pick one of them. Who's going to get there? It's a race to get to the quarterback. Warder happy about Mr. Rogers. I could make a neighborhood comment here, but I won't.
Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
I won't.
Go ahead.
It was too easy.
I knew it was coming.
Loss of 11 yards on the Nick Rogers sack. And so Eric Johnson will try to nudge that one down inside the 10 and can't do it. Down to Michelle.
Well, I'm with Fritz Rolfing, the CEO of the Seattle Bowl. Congratulations on the inaugural season. How happy were you guys to find out this matchup between an ACC and Pac-10 team?
We were just thrilled. We couldn't believe that we were going to get BCS-rated 9 Stanford against Georgia Tech with their great tradition of football and you know, the real deal.
And what people probably can't tell from some of our pictures is that you sold almost 30,000 tickets, 2,000 walk-ups today. That has to be pretty exciting.
It was phenomenal. We've got a great response from the Seattle community, and we couldn't be more thrilled. For our first-year bowl game, this is a great start.
We'll let the play happen, Fritz.
Gotsi keeping after the fake up the middle. Actually, that is Andy Hall getting a snap. Gotsi giving way to the sophomore backup, Andy Hall, for just the 4th time this year.
Dave, one last question for Fritz. Boy, you got lucky with the weather today, didn't you?
We sure did. It's been a great week. It's been sunny all week, and now we've got a good temperature for game time. I couldn't be happier with that either.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, back up to you, Dave.
Sophomore from Cheraw, South Carolina. Andy Hall picked up 9. And now foot race for Gregory. Only Ryan Fernandez could have caught him, and he runs him down at the 17. 54 yards for Sean Gregory, replacing 1,100-yard rusher Joe Burns, and Burns not missed at all at this point.
This is nothing but the triple option football fullback play. The ball's in the fullback's stomach. It's a read play. The quarterback can pull it or leave it. He reads the defensive end, the 5 technique, stepping up the field, so he hands it. Beautifully executed football play to Sean Gregory, who explodes into the secondary to the 17.
Looks to add to an 11-point lead. Another keeper by Hall, and a pickup of about 3.
Hall can run it at 6'2", 195-pounder. The injury to Gotze, as you mentioned before, can't really run the option like he had done in the past. Hall's certainly more apt to run it. But boy, I tell you guys, Georgia Tech put one in on here. They're taking it to Stanford right now. Even though Stanford's getting some drives, you know, they're getting stalled. Georgia Tech stopping them. They're bending and not breaking.
Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator, is doing a marvelous job of mixing his packages here.
Indicated Hall would play, decided this was a good spot to put him in, and the change of pace has thrown the Cardinal defense for a real loop right now. He's close to another first down. Needed to get to the 7, and he may have.
You ask football people what's tough about the Georgia Tech offense, and the answer is you can't prepare for all these packages. You see the triple option. There's Bill O'Brien in the middle in the blue there. You get the triple option. Then you got the sophisticated spread the field pass offense, and you can't get ready for all of them. The execution today is what surprised me, as it did John Elway, both teams.
3rd and about a foot. Gregory, I don't know if he got it. He may have been hit right at the line. Matt Leonard, senior defensive tackle, appears to have turned this into a 4th down decision.
I think it's going to be 4th and about a foot again, Dave. I don't think he got it.
He didn't.
Great job by Stanford doing what Georgia Tech did to them on the opening drive. Nothing fancy here up the gut. Nice job by Matt Leonard. The initial hit.
Stack eye. 4th and 1. Gregory goes down to the 3. Sean Gregory, in his final game, getting a start and making the most of it. Started this drive off with a 54-yard sprint, and he comes close to finishing it right here.
This is more 4-back offense. 3 people in the backfield. They don't necessarily have to be lined up in the bone to have the power effect of 2 lead blockers with a tailback behind and a first down.
Still the 2 tight ends, the full house. And another give up the middle for Gregory, who reaches the 1.
Boy, what I love seeing guys take advantage of the opportunities they're given. We talked about how Sean Gregory did it in '99 when he got his chance and getting his opportunity again here. That last play was, you know, a basic play, but it was mano-a-mano. He hit the hole right at the first down marker. Coy Wire was there, the 218-pound middle linebacker, and he got flat out run over by Sean Gregory.
2nd and goal, back to the stack eye look. Andy Hall. Another give for Gregory. Stood up, line of scrimmage that time. Tank Williams.
And Tank is a tank. He's not your regular run-of-the-mill free safety. And Mike, you're right. We're going to see him play for a long time on Sunday afternoons. But here comes the Tank man. No blocker for the free safety. Boom, perfect tackle.
He sticks you
head
and
across the bow.
It's a 225-pound safety that runs a 4.45 40. He's going to think he'll play up when they bring 8 in the box up in the NFL. He'll come and stick somebody.
They feel he is the best safety in the country. Looked like he might have been there. 3rd and goal just outside the 1. Ball slips just as he pivots and is hit for a loss of 1. Georgia Tech's defense has turned in a goal line stand, and now the Cardinal 1 play away from matching him.
calculated risk by Kent Baer, the defensive coordinator. Andy Hall slips. He had the pitch for a walk-in touchdown, and Baer's going to love that result. Had Hall been able to pitch the ball, it would have been 6.
And Godsey checks back in for this 4th and goal. He's watched Hall get him this close. 3 yards to the end zone.
They're just trying to draw him. They're trying to draw him offside.
And not able to do it. They finally get a timeout with 6 seconds remaining in the half. And back for the apparent field goal try in a moment.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2001 Seattle Bowl, presented by 989 Sports, is brought to you by Capital One, proud sponsor of the Capital One Florida Citrus Bowl on January 1st, and by United Online, internet service for half the price of AOL. Call 1-877-ONLY-995.
Well, a 9-play, 77-yard march, stymied at the 3-yard line. And so Luke Monge, all-time most accurate kicker in Georgia Tech history, first-team all-conference this year, led the ACC in scoring.
Replacing some divots. And it's a good move, getting the 3 points.
But you know what? They're not going to keep Stanford from moving the ball in the second half the way they have in the first half and keep them out of the end zone. And this is the kind of thing that can come back to haunt you, because Georgia Tech had first down at the 2. And you really would like, if you're a Georgia Tech person, a coach especially, to see that ball punched in the end zone and not get stoned 3 plays in a row the way they did. They actually lost ground.
This will amount to an extra point. 20 yards. Straight on for Monge, and good. With 2 seconds remaining in the half. 17-3. Each defense has stiffened inside the 5, but Georgia Tech gets points anyway. Well, the infamous Stanford band just can't wait for halftime to start their show.
Tree running around the field.
They're a constant show. I'm telling you, it's just fun to watch them.
George Godsey giving way on that last drive to Andy Hall, who added the option threat, and only until the last couple of yards became hard to get did the Cardinal defense stop him at all. 17-3 as this squib kick will go out of bounds, and the Cardinal will have one more snap.
I don't think that was the intention there.
No, that's just, I mean, you got a veteran kicker, and the guy is so good, and he squib kicks the ball out of bounds, and he's going to have to face the defensive coordinator, Ted Roof, when he gets over there. You want him to have another play, do you, Luke? I don't think so.
Don't know what can happen. You don't want any part of that. Now, whether Stanford will try anything or not, we'll obviously see, but not what you wanted there with a couple seconds to go.
Kick out of bounds by the kicking team. Stanford selected the option, 1st and 10 from the 35.
George Godsey, very sharp. 11 of 15, 174 yards. Fazzani, 6 of 11, 49 yards, and on their last possession, forced to scramble almost every pass.
And a nice job by Glenn Spencer, the running backs coach for Georgia Tech, who's had to get Gregory ready when he hasn't played much this year, and the other backs.
Well, 65 yards away. Fazzani doesn't throw deep. They go hook and ladder, and Powell with the toss to Carter, ending the first half on a gain of 14. Godsey, 2 quarters away from ending his spectacular Georgia Tech career with a bold victory for Mac McWhorter, who's with Michelle.
Mac, you said you would throw the ball to open up the run. How do you like the tempo your offense has set so far?
I think we're playing well offensively. I think we're in a good groove. George is throwing the ball well. The receivers catching the ball well. We're protecting, and we're in a pretty good rhythm. Defensively, we got to play a little better. We got to tackle. You know, we've been remiss there.
Yeah, is that the biggest adjustment? Because Stanford has moved the ball.
Yes, they have. They moved the ball well, and we need to do a better job defensively and keep doing what we're doing offensively. We've been here before in the same situation. We got to close the deal.
All right, Mac, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Has to be happy with his offense. 270 total yards and a 17-3 halftime lead in the first Seattle Bowl, as we send you back to Chris Fowler.
All right.
Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets fired up with a 17-3 halftime lead, ready to take on the Stanford Cardinal and try and close out this first ever Seattle Bowl with a postseason victory back at Safeco Field. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Mike Golick have to be impressed by how cool and unaffected by everything that's gone on around their program the Yellow Jackets have played in the first half.
They played well. They held Stanford to 159 yards offense, which is a far cry from Stanford's norm. They'll have to tackle better in the second half, I think, to make this lead hold up.
And Stanford's been moving the ball at times, but that Georgia Tech defense bending but not breaking. But defensively for Stanford, they've got to stop that passing game of Georgia Tech and setting up everything else.
The ESPN game track.
An opportunistic defense. The goal line stand from the 3-yard line. Georgia Tech took it the distance after that and took it in the end zone.
Senior Godsey, 11 of 15, 174 yards.
Sean Gregory, 72 yards, 10 carries, a big 56-yard run to add to it, but he is hitting it straight up the gut using some power.
And Kelly Campbell in his final game in a Georgia Tech uniform, their all-time leading receiver, third all-time in the history of the ACC. 5 catches, 75 yards, and the touchdown pass from Godsey you just saw in the first half. Mike Baselli with the second half kickoff. Campbell from a yard deep. Out to the 24.
And that's the way to return a kickoff. He ran right by 2 unblocked tacklers because he exploded out of the end zone. He wasn't looking for a hole. He was just busting it up in there full speed.
Now we talk about that first drive of the third quarter. Who's going to come out? Who made the adjustments? Can Georgia Tech stay in their rhythm? Can Stanford get that stop and give their offense a shot?
Georgia Tech 3 drives in the first half, averaged starting at their own 14-yard line. And they were some marathon marches. This one starts with a completion out to the 30 to Campbell. They started at their own 3 after a goal line stand. 16 plays, 97 yards and a touchdown over 6 minutes. Started at their own 19. Got another touchdown on 7 plays, 81 yards. And then 10 plays, 77 yards when they finally had to settle for the field goal. So the Stanford defense yet to show up and account for itself yet. Sidney Ford with his first carry after a terrific first half turned in by Sean Gregory. And the junior from Lindale, Georgia, is to the 33.
Generally speaking, the Georgia Tech passing game has been focusing on Stanford's zones. Stanford vacillates from a 2-deep to a 3-deep zone. When they're in the 3-deep, Godsey exploits the wide, the out cuts. When they're in the 2-deep, he goes to the middle of the field, and that's where Georgia Tech has made its living, with big throws and catches down the middle of the pipe against the 2-deep.
Georgia Tech has converted 4 of their first 7 third-down tries. This is going to be very close. At the 34, they needed the 34 and a half, and I'm not sure if they get it here.
And I like how they do that. They get up to the line quick, and Godsey goes on the quick count, but Coy Wire, the middle linebacker, was right there, and he gave Godsey no forward progress at all. And now I get to make my first guess of the bowl season, and I am going to say he is short.
How much?
You know, if you go by the...
Oh, come on, 6 inches.
All right, I'm going to say 8 inches.
Okay.
Or 4 inches.
Golick says 8 inches or 4 inches. And the answer is
4
inches.
4. All right. Do I get a second guess?
You don't need one.
Georgia Tech needs to punt the ball here, and
yes,
this is one of the toughest things that a head coach does. You got to think you can make 4 inches, but not at your 35. And Stanford's off to an excellent start defensively, and you can see those furrows in Mac McWhirter's brow. Not a good way to get started, getting stuffed on 3rd and short.
Hey, we got to show that again, them running on to punt. That's from both teams on the same sideline. Players are running into each other, running through each other. But a great stop for Stanford here. Exactly what they needed to do to try and get back in this ball game.
We used to play Detroit when they had Alex Karras. I learned a whole new language because our benches were on the same sideline.
Chris Morehouse for a rare punt. One of the few times Stanford's defense has held. And a nice start with a juke by Luke Powell to get him out for a return of about 6 yards. And let's check in with Michelle.
Well, Dave, at halftime, I spoke with Tyrone Willingham. He said he did think he had the adjustments to slow down George Godsey, and he thought he also made adjustments to help his offense get in the end zone. But the first thing out of his mouth, Dave, was this is more than a football game. We have got to raise our energy level. Tyrone Willingham right now not happy with the energy and spirit with which his team is playing. Dave?
Only head coach to take him to 4 bowl games and the only one ever to win Pac-10 Coach of the Year twice. Chance to get him 10 wins. That would be only the 4th time in program history. They need a complete turnaround, though, after being dominated by the Tech offense in the first half, and not a bad start. Toss out to Williams, close to a first down, with the coverage by Chris Young.
Put the ball to that big Teo Johnson, the 6'7" kid. He loves to jump for that ball. And I saw Fasani before the game warming up, doing a lot of those out routes, 8-yard, 10-yard out routes. He's got a strong arm. He can get it out there. They'll try and set you up and then take it over the top.
And Teo's Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. Just a freshman.
Already worked in some basketball, working out with Mike Montgomery's Hoops team, even as he prepared for the Seattle Bowl. And another completion from Fasani to Johnson out to the 42 and hit there by Corey Collins. Teo at 6'7", 245, one of 9 two-sport athletes on this Cardinal football team, and can do some damage in the open court at Maples Pavilion as well. Red shirt freshman in football. Forward in basketball, honorable mention on the All Pac-10 freshman team a year ago. This is his 2nd basketball season. Brian Allen, about a yard shy of the first down. Allen brought down by Greg Gathers, and that's the first time I think we've mentioned Greg Gathers, the ACC sack leader with 10 in the regular season.
And they were going to try and free him up today, and what Bill mentioned earlier, the Bear defense, when you put 2 D linemen over the guards and 1 over the nose, you're trying to free up D linemen. Greg Gathers, and when they get in it, we'll show it to you. He's the guy they want to free up. Certainly slowed down the last 5 games of the year off of what he did in the first 7, but he's still the guy they want to get that one-on-one pass rush situation with. They feel comfortable he'll beat his man.
Fasani on 3rd and 2. Again forced to scramble. Rogers missed a great chance at a sack and juggled and incomplete as Kerry Carter can't hang on near the 30-yard line. A big sigh of relief for Rogers and the rest of the Tech defense. Fasani couldn't have thrown it any better to Kerry Carter.
Georgia Tech has made a living rushing the passer with their 2 defensive ends. 38, the left defensive end, beats his tackle right there, Quaim Harris, right now. Very, very poor tackling effort.
And he still gives Stanford the chance to get the first down, but Carter can't pull it in. Now they've got to try and coffin corner this one and really back Georgia Tech up.
Eric Johnson.
That ain't going to do it.
Straight up. Bounce goes straight up. And finally down at about the 30. Johnson averaged 38 yards in the regular season. This one goes only 26. Big first half numbers for Sean Gregory. Replaced all ACC tailback Joe Burns. He goes back to work in a moment. Well, that is the trophy awaiting the winner of the first ever Seattle Bowl inside Safeco Field. The only year it'll be played in the Mariners' home park, and they have not needed to close the retractable roof because it's been a nice, cool, dry week. Moving next door to the new Seahawks Stadium next year. Godsey airing that one out And overthrown, intended for Campbell.
Georgia Tech's getting pretty good field position here out at the 30-yard line because of a problem that has plagued Stanford all year long. They've only got a 28-yard net punt. Tyrone Willingham confessing that that's been a serious matter, working with Eric Johnson, trying to get more consistency in the punt game.
Dave, why don't you get into your baseball play-by-play? They're at second base now.
Yeah, that's Brett Boone country. Godsey running a little option, and immediately spilled is Gregory, hit by Austin Lee, senior defensive end.
That's the way you play the option. Austin Lee kept his pad square. He was close enough to the quarterback. Here he is right here. He'll come up the field, stay on the line of scrimmage, not jump the quarterback, pad square, force the pitch, down the line of scrimmage, and make the tackle. Great defense.
Big man.
Yes, sir. Austin Lee coming off an injury, doing a nice job on the option.
6'6", 275, great pursuit angle.
There's only been a handful of big hits in this game. Lee turned in one of the best. Strike over the middle, and again Godsey picks up a third down to the 44, 15 yards that time to carry Watkins.
Brian Taylor right on the coverage. Godsey just stuck it right into Watkins, and then he shook off Taylor. Nothing fancy. In route, timing route, ball there. Taylor tried to make a play with his right hand over the top, so he wasn't able to tackle after the catch. You see the right hand go, left hand doesn't grab. Watkins goes free.
This is a completely different Godsey than we saw in the regular season finale at Florida State. Gregory, no gain down to Michelle.
And Dave, part of the reason George Godsey is different this season, after tearing his ACL in last year's Peach Bowl, you know, spring practice came around, he couldn't do much. But the strength coaches developed one exercise for him in particular. He would lie on his back on the ground and work on his throwing motion by holding a brick and simulating that motion. Mike, I've heard of Jerry Rice, the brick layer, helping that, you know, that helped his receiving, but in this case, it's helped George Godsey's throwing.
Yeah, Jerry Rice used to catch bricks to try and work on catching the ball and holding on to the brick, and looks like it's working for George. People used to say I ran like I had bricks in my pants. So we all have that. It's some kind of brick thing.
That's on target for Kelly Campbell again. And these two are going out in style. Godsey to Campbell.
Great set, great throw, takes a shot at the end, little love tap.
Nice plant. Round off to the sideline and concentration. Good job by Campbell.
Another third down, needing two. Seventh catch, 89 yards and a touchdown for Campbell. And again, sliding to one knee to make the grab at the 42 and keep moving the chains. And Godsey to Campbell has been an unstoppable combination against the Stanford secondary today.
In my opinion, both teams came out flat to begin the third quarter. Georgia Tech leans into an attempted third and short situation, gets stuffed, and Godsey's accuracy and precision has given this Georgia Tech team a lift, and they are back playing with a little enthusiasm now for the first time in the second half.
63% career passer, most accurate in school history, and even better than that tonight. Now they're on to Godsey's gives to Gregory. That's two in a row that have been stuffed for no gain. And Marcus Hoover, second team all Pac-10 defensive end, riding down Gregory this time.
Well, I tell you, unless you really go wide, Bill, I never understood how you don't block a backside end unless you're really pitching it wide away from them. I mean, the guys are too good at athletes nowadays. These big guys are too fast. When they flatten down the line, they can catch you.
Well, he reads that backside end. We'll talk about that more after this play.
4 wides on second and 11. Campbell wrapped up by Ryan Fernandez. But inside the 40. And here comes another third down. They've converted 60% so far against Ty Willingham's Cardinal defense.
Fernandez displaying a little frustration at this precision passing. And what they want to do is get him with nose trouble, meaning he's going to break up on a hitch, and it just might be a hitch and go anytime here.
This is double slot. I'll tell you after the play about Tyrone Willingham said this is the formation that's been giving him the problems. Let's see if it does here.
This is picked up and almost intercepted as Reuben Carter made a break on it.
What they've been doing, and Michelle told us in the break when she talked to Ty that he had also talked about this double slot, how it was giving him problems. They run those double slots up the field and bring the outside receivers underneath. They tried it there. That time Stanford defensed it well, but he said that's what's been giving them the most problems, so a good adjustment there for Stanford.
And back to your question about the defensive end and not blocking him on the backside, the quarterback looks at him, and he's supposed to pull the ball if that end comes down inside.
Going for it on 4th and 7. Safety blitz. Tank Williams coming. It's caught by Glover. Spun down immediately. No chance at picking up the first down. Jason White right there after the short completion to Will Glover. And the Cardinal defense holding for one of the few times this afternoon. Still 17-3. Safeco Field, where Ichiro won American League MVP honors this year. No question who our MVP is today. It is our engineer, Marty Kipp, who is personally responsible for making sure we stay plugged in and on the air.
The miracles of modern technology.
Hey, sometimes that's what it takes.
Wow. Whatever it takes to get the show on the road, on the air.
Like your hand on the Heisman contest.
Yeah, how about it?
Swing pass intended for Casey Moore is incomplete. So if we lose our picture momentarily, you'll know why.
He had
finally had to change hands.
They should just tape his hand to it so it can't move.
Well, how does Tyrone Willingham get this offense, which was so impressive during the regular season? Highest scoring offense in the Pac-10, 9th in the country. How do they finally get some drives to be completed? They move for yardage. Only a field goal to show for it, though. Quarterback draw, Fasani. First down across midfield. And finally ended by Key Fox, but a gain of 16.
Love watching him run, Bill.
It's almost as if Tyrone heard you and his offensive coordinator answered you. Nice call by Bill Dietrich. How do you get a drive going?
There's the block right there.
You get your quarterback set up and run that quarterback draw. Get the linebackers block. Good block on Winbush there that Mike pointed out. First down.
Swing pass caught by Luke Powell. And run out of bounds by Marvius Hester. Should have another first down, though, at the 35, and he does with a gain of 11.
That's just a flat-out smart read. I mean, they were playing off on him, so Fasani just got it out to him, said, you do the rest.
Another answer to Dave's question. How do you get something going? An easy completion out in the flat. Georgia Tech in a 3-deep zone. There's nobody out there for about 6 yards.
This offense averaged 37 points per game. 451 yards per game, which were both the top numbers in a very offense-minded Pac-10 conference this year. So what the Georgia Tech defense has done, something that really nobody has managed against the Cardinal offense, which has to call time with 6:34 to go in the third quarter. Driving, but still trailing by 14.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2001 Seattle Bowl, presented by 989 Sports, is brought to you by Ford, America's #1 choice for 15 straight years, and by Singular, the wireless company that supports self-expression nationwide.
Only once in running up a 9-2 regular season was Stanford held below 21 points, and that was in a win over Notre Dame, 17-13.
And that was in a downpour as well. It was awful weather in that win.
More than 2.5 quarters gone in this one. Still only a Mike Baselli field goal to show for it. Trailing 17-3. Fasani after the timeout going deep into double coverage and overthrown, intended for Ryan Wells.
Well, that's just a bad throw, Bill. That's a bad decision.
Well, I think he was throwing it away.
Yeah, only had 2 receivers in the route. I think you're right.
Georgia Tech's got him thinking a great deal. And the strategy of moving, stemming, and blitzing that Ted Ruth, the defensive coordinator, has employed is the way Georgia Tech's staying in this thing and managing to keep them out of the end zone. They have to continue, and they have to continue to tackle better and better.
Where are they coming from? Where's that defense coming from? Here come. Looks like.
Moving up, backing off. No blitz. Fasani. Chased again out of the pocket. And out of bounds near the first down marker, right at it, in fact, at the 25, a gain of 10.
And the difference in this drive and the drives when Stanford has been stymied is the mobility of Randy Fasani. His ability, he had nobody open, so rather than taking a loss or throwing the ball away, he runs for a first down. That's the difference that he makes in this offense. And he'll have to continue to do that to keep things going when things do not work out, when the defense is able to cover all his receivers.
Fasani in 15 starts over his career, 11 wins, averaged producing 33 points per game. Over the middle, sliding catch is made at the 3. Luke Powell for a first and goal, Cardinal.
Nice deep in route by Powell. Right in front of Hester. Timing route, he makes the break. Ball on its way right over into the dirt or the gravel, whatever that stuff is. It's not great dirt.
What is great dirt?
Great dirt is something that you land on and don't rip your skin open.
That was a great catch. That was a great catch by
Now
Powell.
raiding the dirt.
Yeah. Like little pebbles.
First and goal. Give to Kerry Carter. Run down from behind by Chris Young. And Carter still probably managing about a yard once they unpile it.
All right, Bill. Wasn't Stanford in this position in the first drive of the game? And they ran it basically up the gut 3 times. They just did it here again. Would you think they'll do something else, or will they keep trying to do this?
I think they'll take your advice and try to get on the corner or some sort of naked boot or something other than just pound it up inside.
I don't want to have to say I told you so again.
Randy Fasani fan club there, hoping that maybe their man will carry the cross. Second and goal. Fake to Carter. Now trouble. And Fasani will keep it for a loss. He had ample time to throw it away.
Yeah.
And decided to try and make it himself, and knocked down by Gary Johnson at the 4.
That would have been a good time to unload the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, the Tech guys can't catch him back there. They've only caught him once today, but they did run him out of the pocket, which has made him even more dangerous. This time he needed to get rid of the ball rather than take the loss.
Where were the Fasani fan club people there? I saw the sign. I didn't see those.
They're up there.
Shirts.
No, they're up there in the lime shirts.
That's hard to miss.
On the third and goal from the 4, they spread them out with 4 wides. Now Carter in motion, empty backfield.
Going to put it up to Teo right over here.
Yep. Fade is incomplete. Incomplete. Broken up by Chris Young.
That's the play, Bill. That is exactly the play they should have done. Lay it up there again. It's 4th down. I'd run the same play.
He's got to throw it up a little higher, though, to give his man a chance. It was an excellent play by Chris Young. Georgia Tech knew what was coming. Everybody is put on the other end of the field just so that Teo Johnson can get one-on-one with Chris Young here.
Well,
They're both fighting for the ball. The officials calling it out. I agree with the crowd that's booing. I think somebody caught this ball, but I don't know
Well,
who.
the only thing is I don't know who had possession, and then they hit the ground, and now he's laying out of bounds.
I guess that was
on the
call.
white. Almost looked like an interception.
4th down from the 4. Flags.
Oh, boy.
This would be, if it's against the Cardinals,
it's going to be
the first penalty against Stanford all day.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remaining 4th down.
And what a time and spot to have their first flag.
The least penalized team in the Pac-10, 6 years running. 42 yards a game this team has been penalized, and they make a mistake down so close. Now they need to kick the field goal, and that's what Tyrone's going to do. At least they're going to line up in field goal. Both these teams have had too much time to put in a bunch of plays. Tyrone said that to us in our discussion with him. We've had too much time. We got a lot of stuff in. Might see a fake here.
Baselli, 26 yards out, has his second field goal, but boy, does Stanford swallow hard having to accept 3 points at the end of that drive.
That hurts. Oh, does that hurt? I know there's plenty of time left, but you get it down there, down 2 touchdowns. You've got to punch it in.
Well, Friday night, the 2001 bowl season continues. 5 Eastern here on ESPN. One of the nation's top running backs, William Green of Boston College, leading the Eagles against one of the top freshman quarterbacks in the country, David Green, and the Georgia Bulldogs in the Music City Bowl. Capital One Bowl week on ESPN, moving into Nashville for the Music City Bowl. 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific.
Ben, you guys, we saw both these teams. And Bill, I know you and I talked about William Green from Boston College at running back. He is something else. To me, he was the best running back in the country this year.
Looked like Bo Jackson.
He was unbelievable.
Herschel Walker. I mean, the guy is unreal. And it was Tom O'Brien that first told us that Stanford is for real because they hammered Boston College and they held William Green to 103 yards and 30-some-odd carries.
And Georgia Tech's doing it to Stanford right now.
Baselli kicking this one deep, and it's Campbell from the 1. Good job by the coverage unit for the Cardinal. We go down to Michelle.
Well, you guys were talking about the infield and the dirt. I think Mike called it not great dirt. Let's get a closer look at what it actually is. We'll zoom in on this. It's gravel for all intents and purposes. It's not like sand. It's not like any dirt you've ever seen, and it makes it very hard and slippery. So just part of the field conditions, you can get a look at what that stuff looks like up close.
So it was not great dirt, right?
Precisely. That's a scientific term for it, yes.
I accepted your definition.
It was in my dirt class at Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided not to sod it over. The players, had they had any say in the matter, would have voted differently. Incomplete, intended for Glover. Likely to be the only football game ever played at Safeco, and Fasani and Watkins both found it slippery in the first half, as did Glover. It's kept the groundskeeping unit on their toes as they tried to patch all the divots as quickly as possible.
Looks like Augusta National.
Yeah, when you have the screw-in cleats and you're on the grass and then you go to the dirt, there's a real, and you saw in the highlight there's a good chance when you make a cut you're gonna slip on that not so great dirt.
Watch this now. Godsey is lined up wide left, and the direct snap coming back for not much of a gain to Jonathan Smith. So Godsey trading places with wideout Jonathan Smith, and all that for a gain of maybe 3 yards?
Yeah, I guarantee you they didn't put him out there so they could throw him a deep ball.
That fooled a total number of 0 people.
Yes, but that goes back to the thing that Coach Willingham told us. Georgia Tech coaches have had too long to think.
It's dangerous when you have too long to think, huh?
Too many stuff like that.
Godsey back taking this snap on 3rd and 8. Floater is off the fingertips of Matt Vade, incomplete. A diving attempt at the interception by Gary Cobb. Couldn't quite come up with it.
Good thought by Godsey. I saw him looking right down the middle. He was just going to try and lob it in. The ball got bounced up, and Cobb almost came down with it. See, right down the middle of the field. He's just going to try and lob it right in there. Gets tipped up. Cobb, yeah, you just see it hit the dirt. Gary Cobb from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I played ball with his father with the Philadelphia Eagles. We played together then.
And the guy that made the play was Colin Branch, the strong safety who forced the ball to be elevated just a little too much. That's his job in the 2 deep.
We've seen both Tech punters. This time it's Dan Dyke. And one of the better efforts of the day is fair caught, and we'll have a halo violation. Powell crowded by Watkins at the 35, a 43-yard punt by Dyke.
Watkins was trying to get out of the way, but just couldn't do it.
Well, he's a veteran player, and that's the kind of mistake that you make in bowl games because you can't, you just can't keep those things firmly in your mind when you hadn't played football in a long time. He just ran right down there. It's a 2-yard halo.
Interference with the opportunity to catch. 5-yard penalty from the infraction. 1st and 10, Stanford.
Following our game, more Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN. 7:30 Eastern, the Mainstay Independence Bowl. Iowa State has become a fixture out of the Big 12 now a couple years in a row in the postseason. Andrew Zhao and Alabama in its first year under Dennis Franchione. They find their way to the postseason as well. And Freddie Millens with numbers below expectation for him with a chance to end his 2001 season in style. That's coming up after we're done. Brett Pierce, the tight end from nearby Vancouver, Washington, makes the diving effort incomplete. 2nd and 10.
Brett Pierce had more catches, 19 catches this year, more than any tight end since '96. Didn't get that one hemmed up, though.
Now, the last drive by the Cardinal, their most impressive of the day, even though they had to settle for another Baselli field goal. They got it down to goal to go from the 2. Here comes a corner blitz. They picked up Chris Young. Fasani dropped for a loss at the 42, the shell.
You know, Dave, while Stanford's offense was on the bench, running back Brian Allen actually came over to me and asked me what the name of Georgia Tech's number 51 was. I told him the linebacker's name was Daryl Smith. I'm not sure why he wanted that information. Mike, maybe you have an idea, maybe so he could call his opponent by his name when they're trash talking. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe Brian Allen needs to watch a little more film and find out who Daryl Smith is.
They want to do some business networking.
Boy, I tell you, Daryl Smith, the heck of a player for Georgia Tech that you will find when you watch film.
And he came on a blitz, forcing Fasani up into the sack by Greg Gathers. Smith coming hard from the edge. Fasani came straight into the arms of the junior defensive end from LaPlace, Louisiana, Gathers.
On this play, Daryl Smith is lined up as a defensive end coming from the left, and he forces Fasani up inside. Gathers comes down with him. Gathers normally lines up at the end spot. He's lined up as a tackle in this defense. And again, the variety and the different looks that Ted Roof is employing causing problems for the Cardinal.
Mr. Allen, that was Mr. Smith right there.
Yeah, they had a chance to meet.
A rare 3 and out. And a long count before Eric Johnson gets off another not so impressive kick. Kelly Rhino with return of a very short 33-yarder. Rhino, the ACC record holder now, 515 punt return yards this year, breaking the mark of his father, Randy.
Bill, are we seeing good adjustments at halftime? Because now we're seeing the defenses kind of take this game over. We've seen a lot more punts, obviously, in this half than we did in the first half. The offenses were moving the ball up and down the field, both of them. I
do think both defenses have adjusted. They're playing better, and that's to be expected. I'm sure that the coaches got with them and said, look, you know, we can tackle better than this, and they're doing it.
There's a double slot again by Georgia Tech.
A minute 53rd. Godsey swinging that one out for Gregory. And close to a first down, tripped up by Coy Wire.
Certainly like 2nd and 1. We saw it earlier in the game on a 2nd and 1. They took a shot deep. See if they try it again here. This is exactly the time you do it, right, Bill?
This would be a nice time for play action and put it up. They like the matchups. Both these teams like the matchups of their receivers on the people who are covering them, linebackers and DBs.
Double figures as per usual for Coy Wire tackles. And another one here. He brings down Gregory, but not before he crosses the 40 for the first down.
I'll tell you this, if Coy Wire does not come down with him, he's going to run a long way because there was nobody home. Nice play by the guy who at one time was the leading rusher for the Cardinal and has been the leading tackler the last 2 years, moving from tailback over to middle linebacker. And he's quoted as saying our head coach is the best head coach in America because he does so much for us off the field to make us good men.
Wire also a brown belt in karate.
That's what you on. The middle linebacker is already nuts to have a brown belt.
Let's see. Throwing that one into the dirt, and a wise decision it was because Wire was the nearest man to it.
Yeah, Matt Leonard put him in the dirt then as well. Seeing a little more pressure on the quarterbacks this half as well. Both defenses stepping up.
And what kind of dirt was it? In the not great dirt?
Not so good dirt.
Or now it's not so good. It was not so great.
Oh, well, it's still not so great then. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Pebbles.
There's going to be a lot of strawberries. You're right about that.
Nazi.
Screen.
Again, has to throw it away. And he's had the knack of knowing when to do that, too.
Well, I'll tell you, whatever happens at Georgia Tech in the coaching situation, the guy they're going to really miss is George Godsey. And we all thought, us Tech people thought, gee, we'll never replace Joe Hamilton. Along came Godsey, barely beat Andy Hall out 2 years ago for the quarterback spot, and he's been magnificent throughout his career.
Andy Hall wasn't bad, the series he got.
No, he did well.
Ran the option, marched him down for a scoring opportunity in the second quarter. 36 seconds to go in the third on a 3rd and 10. 6 out of 12 converting third downs today. Dropped. That wasn't going to pick up the yardage, but Gregory could have gotten at least 5, and instead Tech will have to punt it away in the final seconds of the quarter.
Stanford defense is doing a fantastic job now. Great coverage downfield, and then Coy Wire picking up the short receiver. That's Gregory. I mean, even if Gregory catches this, he's not making the first down. It's about a 4-yard route. Good job again by that Stanford defense of giving their offense another opportunity.
Yep, after they gave up 270 yards in the first half, only 56 by Georgia Tech here in the third. Morehouse's turn to punt, just gets it away. And fair caught at the 18 by Powell, a 41-yarder down to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Dave, in Tyrone Willingham's first stint at Stanford, he was an assistant coach under Dennis Green, and he earned a nickname that the players gave him. They called him the attitude coach. Now, the story goes that whenever Dennis Green thought one of his players had an attitude problem, he'd send him to Tyrone Willingham, and 45 minutes in a meeting with him, that player would come out with the necessary attitude adjustment. There was never a lot of yelling. It's apparently that patented Tyrone Willingham glare that gets him. As defensive tackle Matt Leonard put it, he is probably the most intimidating person I've ever been around in all my life, all 5'7" of him, Dave.
Yeah, remarkable. And, you know, you spend maybe 10 minutes talking to him, and it becomes very apparent why so many programs are interested, NFL level, college level, in Tyrone Willingham, although he continues to be very happy at Stanford.
Like all great coaches, Coach Willingham is more interested in what his men become as human beings than he is in how they play football, although he expects them to play great football, and they respect him for it. They understand.
His offense needs to play some great football, trailing by 17-6 with only one more quarter to go. Seattle Bowl moves next door to the new Seahawks Stadium, going up where the old Kingdome was imploded a couple of years ago. But for now, one more quarter in the home of the Mariners, Safeco Field, and a 17-6 Georgia Tech lead as we begin the fourth. And we'll see sophomore quarterback Chris Lewis, the heir apparent to Fasani's job next year, take his first snap of the game. Fasani unable to move the last couple of series. Lots of movement, but no snap this time. Lewis, who has engineered a number of come-from-behind wins, beaten teams like Oregon, Texas, USC, UCLA.
Prior to the snap, a snap infraction on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain second down.
What that means is that the center moved the ball, hesitated, and then moved the ball some more. And that's an illegal snap. It sends people like Mike Golick into hysterics.
Well, it's now you were a center, Bill, so basically what you're saying is the center cheated.
Well, he got caught. If you cheat and get caught, that's different from cheating and not get caught. Defensive linemen never get caught.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, you have no defense for it either.
I don't.
Zach Quacha now ready for a legitimate snap to Lewis. And the first pass target, and Ryan Wells is stripped of the ball, and it's incomplete. Marvius Hester unloaded on him.
Wake up.
Hello. That's what they love. Those DBs love that. He's a hard corner in a cover 2 defense. He's just sitting out there, and Wells is not expecting this, and he turns up and gets drilled on the spot. A nice shot at the helmet on the football. Good job by Marvius Hester to knock the ball out.
Literally, you dream, as a defender, you dream about getting a hit like that. When
You're
a guy
not trying to hurt anybody.
No, you're not.
Just trying to knock that ball out.
You're trying to drive right through him. It's the way you're taught to tackle.
3rd and 11. All day for Lewis. A deep shot wide open. Luke Powell to the 42. Beating Hester for 41 yards.
That was a busted coverage, wasn't it, Bill? Because they had 3 receivers deep and only 2 Georgia Tech defenders were back there.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to Hester. He must have fallen down because it was blitz coverage, meaning that there should have been a man covering Powell. So maybe somebody ran into each other or fell down, but he was totally uncovered, and it was a man defense.
Jeremy Myers was up, the safety covering a short route, and then turned and ran. Like, I don't know if it was his responsibility or not, but he was the safety up close to the line.
Flag again prior to the snap, but maybe we see the start of some more off-the-bench Chris Lewis magic.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain first down.
Fasani, 11 of 21, but only 115 yards while he's been in.
Bill, I think I see what may have happened here. We'll watch, and I'll try and freeze it. Well, you're going to see. We're going to see that the receiver coming over there. There were 2 defenders by him, by the short receiver, and I think the one was Jeremy Myers, should have been deep.
3 penalties on just the last 2 possessions by Stanford, and more flags. This after they went the entire first half, much of the 3rd quarter without a flag.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty and remain first down.
Here's what's happening. You got a poised veteran offensive line that has not seen a defense stem this much. Stem meaning see them, everybody's moving in this direction. So there's a play change and a blocking pattern change. And so the veteran Brett Pierce pops up, and it's the 3rd time it's happened on this drive. What Georgia Tech has done is to shoot itself in the foot by not covering Powell, and rather than get Stanford stopped, they're out here at midfield, and they're allowing him to recover from these mistakes.
So 1st and 20, and they're back in their own territory for 48. Good snap this time. Not such a good pass, overthrown, intended for Teo Johnson. And the ESPN game track as we move into the 4th quarter has seen Godsey as sharp as he's been maybe all year. 222 yards, that score to Campbell.
Georgia Tech's defense stemming, stunting, blitzing, managing to contain the Cardinal offense so far.
And you see that bottom one, 451 yards they've been averaging, 201 on the ground, 250 through the air. It's 278 total already.
This again time, and to the tight end Pierce, who makes the sliding catch inside the 40. 13 yards. Myers and Smith right there with him, but Lewis threaded it perfectly.
And a very nice play call by Bill Diedrich. And good execution by Lewis to get over half of what was needed. It was 2nd down and 20. Now it's only 3rd and 8. It was a very good play. If they manage to make this first down, it will be largely because of what happened on the 2nd down play.
3 times Lewis has engineered come from behind wins. Coming off the bench, Pierce open. First and goal at the 5.
And that's the risk you run when you blitz. You got a linebacker covering 1-on-1. The tight end outran Ricardo Wimbush, number 42, and the throw was perfect. When you blitz, you better get there.
Great blitz pickup by Stanford. You're going to see the blitz coming, everybody coming up. Boom, they pick up everybody. Nobody there in his way, nobody getting in his face right away. Able to lob it up there.
Beating Ricardo Wimbush. Second catch on this drive for a total of 47 yards for the junior tight end, Brett Pierce, and first and goal at the 5. Stanford's been here before. They haven't gotten there. And a toss sweep to Kerry Carter will get a couple. Wimbush up for the tackle.
Boy, do they need to jump one in the end zone, don't they, Bill? I mean, this is big. Now, again, a field goal would still put them down 1 score, touchdown and a 2-point conversion, but...
That's right, but you just, after all this frustration, Stanford could really turn this thing in their direction and momentum-wise if they can punch this thing in the end zone. And Mac McWhorter knows it. So does Tyrone Willingham.
Extra tight end in. Lewis hit as he spins and just got it off ahead of the safety blitz by Jeremy Myers.
What a great job by Myers first, not coming on the blitz, but Lewis, Bill, getting rid of that ball. That just saved them about a 10-yard loss.
They're very fortunate that that ball didn't go up in the air. Yes, he got rid of it. He got rid of it on the ground. Had it popped up in the air, it could have been even more difficult for Stanford.
Nice hit. That's the way to drive through them, and really nice job getting rid of it. That saved them a lot of yards right there.
Play of the game coming up right now. Everybody in America knows that.
Third and goal from the 4 with 4 wide.
They'll throw it up to Teo.
Lewis picks over the middle, incomplete.
Should have thrown it up to Teo.
Intended for Ryan Wells, who was open.
Yeah, he had him. He absolutely had him and led him too much with the throw. You need to put that one right in Wells' breadbasket for the 6.
Now, 3 points to get you within 1 score, or go for the 6 here.
Boy,
I think you kick it.
I think you have to kick it.
You got to kick it so that you can tie it with a touchdown. Randy Fasani's in agony over there.
They're going for it here on 4th down. Bill, no fun when we agree, but we agree. I'd put the 3 points on the board, be down by 8.
Willingham says enough with 3 points. And here's the fade for Teo, and he got it. Touchdown.
Like we said, should have done that all along. Forget the 3 points. You got to throw it up to Teo.
Well, they should have thrown it up to Teo when I told them to.
Yeah, that's true.
But they wanted to make it interesting.
1 play late, but the same result.
And they'll go for 2 here. They'll try and make it a 3-point game. Try and make it 17-14. If they miss it, still a touchdown. We'll put them ahead.
Nice throw, excellent concentration by Teo Johnson. That's what he does so well. When they came back to beat Oregon this year, down by 14 in the 4th quarter, they scored 21 points, and that's how they did it, throwing it up to Teo Johnson.
And Georgia Tech cheated over for 2 men over there. You know what? If you're going to cheat, get him over there. The second man is not getting over there in time to be of any help.
You got to cheat a 6'7" guy over there, and they don't have one.
Cheat.
Johnson,
get a ladder.
Slot left. Keep an eye on him for the 2-point conversion. They're coming after Lewis. Has time. Back of the end zone. It's Wells who hauls it in, and it's 17-14.
That play worked because of the time Lewis had in the pocket. Certainly Wells was not his #1 receiver, but he had time to look off and get to Wells.
When Chris Lewis was playing Pop Warner ball growing up, they gave him the nickname Elway, because even then he showed the penchant for leading dramatic late drives. This one gets the Stanford Cardinal within 3 with a touchdown on the fade to Johnson. And then the bullet for the two-point conversion to Ryan Wells, and the Cardinal right back in the thick of the Seattle. Boy, I don't know if I should step in the middle of this. This is Bill Curry, Mike Golick, alma mater.
We got issues.
Scuffle.
Yeah. There's going to be some problems up here in a minute.
I think we just leave that one alone.
The problem is, the food ran out.
Oh.
Billy Watkins decides to bring that one from 3 yards deep, and a fired-up Cardinal coverage unit led by Brian Gaffney has him at the 18, Michelle.
Well, that sign you just showed, Dave, may have fired up Gary Gotze. I'm sitting with him now, the brother of George Gotze, a tight end at Notre Dame. I'm sure you'd rather be at a bowl game right now, but tell us a little bit about what you've seen of your brother here this afternoon. Very nice first half by George.
Absolutely. It's great, to be here and support George. My family travels across the country, the whole year. It's just great to be here and support George. He's doing great.
I know you guys exchanged some very interesting phone calls lately because of everything that's gone on with the coaching change, George O'Leary and so forth.
Yeah, George's been a great brother, and he's helped, throughout the coaching change. And, it's hard to tell what really happened with Coach O'Leary and the whole situation, but, what we know is that, Coach O'Leary is a great guy, a great winner. And, he was going to graduate players and help win. But, for Notre Dame, we got to move on. It's just what happened.
And last question for you. Do you have any idea which direction Notre Dame is going in?
Definitely forward. There's no way we're taking it.
But with whom?
We have no clue. I know as much as you do, so I guess we stick to the internet and all the rumors. I don't know.
Gary, thanks a lot for joining us.
Okay, cool.
Well, meanwhile, George, for the second time, replaced by Andy Hall, who kept for a first down, now dodges a couple of sacks, staggers forward to the 33, under the tackle by Matt Leonard. Hall, when he came into the second quarter, led an option-dominated drive, and now replacing Gotze here early in the fourth.
And the formations we're seeing from Georgia Tech are essentially wishbone, wingbone formations, with a fullback in a triple option position so that the ball can be placed in his stomach and either pulled out or left. This is a wingbone.
Hall keeping, shedding another tackle. And a hard-fought yard, another tackle by the defensive tackle, Matt Leonard.
I'll tell you what, the MVP in this second half right now is the Stanford defense, especially if they get another stop here. Give their offense another opportunity. They have come out and completely changed the complexion of this game.
Gotze coming back on a 3rd and 5, Bill.
Yep, he's a lot better on 3rd and 5 than Andy Hall running the option.
Yep.
And Kent Baer, the defensive coordinator for Stanford, has done a nice job of adjusting to what Georgia Tech's thrown at him.
270 yards in the first half for Tech, 72 in the second. That's how much better the Cardinal defense is. Incomplete drop by Jonathan Smith.
Again, the double slot that Tyron Willingham said they had problems with. Again, the slot receivers ran up the field. The outside receivers did the in route. Gotze put the ball there. The receivers got to come down with it. Would have been first down. Another great stop for Stanford. Right in. Got to make that catch.
You could tell those Gotze stick together.
Alternating punters. This is Dan Dyke's turn. He gets off a beauty. Nose down spiral. And negative yardage on the return by Powell. Hit inside the 15 by Corey Collins. 9:16 remaining. A complete momentum change when Chris Lewis entered a quarterback for Stanford to get him within 3. Must be a Stanford fan.
I think he's a fan of the Stanford band and the rhythm.
Well, there was no reason to dance when they were down 17-3 at the half, 17-6 coming into the fourth quarter. And then Chris Lewis came in and everything changed.
And it didn't look that way in the beginning. They had the illegal procedure calls. They were moving backwards instead of forward, and then he started hitting some nice plays.
Oh, my gosh. Did you write that, Michael?
I told him to.
To Brian Allen. And a pickup of about 4. Here's what Lewis did on that first drive.
Well, we'll show the good stuff. Beautiful pass down the middle to Powell. Again, just laying it up in the air. The great blitz pickup. Lobs it down to Pierce. Here you throw it up to your 6'7" receiver. Let him make the play. And then he had the time on that 2-point conversion to Wells to make it a 3-point game.
Pisani, 115 yards, played most of the game. One drive already, 92 through the air for Lewis, and here comes some more. Luke Powell has the first down at the 29, knocked out by Myers.
Bill, they just seem to have the calls now. That was a corner blitz, and as soon as the corner came, Lewis came out to that side to Powell. Again, getting the ball in the hands of the receiver with nobody around him for 5-6 yards.
Chris Lewis is wonderful off the bench. He was good off the bench as a freshman, a redshirt freshman a year ago. Did not do well as a starter. This year he came off the bench and played well, continued as a starter in Fasani's absence, and was a winner as a starter as well. So he's given him a real spot.
Back to Allen on the ground. For a guy listed maybe generously at 5'10", 200, he is tough to bring down. 3 or 4 tacklers required most of the day.
He's a track guy, so you want to get him on the edge and use that speed. You don't think he's a guy who can pull you over, but he has great leverage, keeps his shoulders low, and drives his legs.
There's the turnaround. Stanford finding the defensive key to limit those marathon drives by Georgia Tech. And finally able to finish a drive of their own. He was rolling on 2nd and 5 and off the fingertips of Powell.
Another good answer against a stemming defense when you're not sure where they're going to be lined up is to move the quarterback, get him out of the pocket, roll to the right. Receiver is open this time. They couldn't hook up.
Ted Roof, D coordinator, played under you, right, Bill, when you were at Georgia
indeed.
Tech, one of your toughest players that you've ever coached.
One of my toughest and the best leader that ever played on a team that I coached. Guys really respect him.
All their futures are mysteries right now.
They're not thinking about that.
Blitz is picked up. Now Lewis forced to scramble, and they've got him back at the 27. Led by Key Fox. Taibubo Anyanzi also helping out, a backup middle linebacker, true freshman. And the Tech defense coming up big.
Nice job, nice attempt by Allen to pick up the blitzer.
He got him at first, Key Fox.
Well, he didn't stick him right in the middle. Key Fox keeps coming because Allen didn't hit him between the 5 and the 4. So he was able to stay on his feet and run Lewis down and get the stop.
So the clock rolling down to the 6:40 mark, and it becomes a factor now. Stanford 2 timeouts remaining. Eric Johnson gets off another short punt, but it does take a Cardinal roll. Rhino nailed at the 37. 37 yards on the Johnson punt. Tomorrow night, Capital One Bull Week continues. 8:30 Eastern here on ESPN. Major Applewhite will start the final game of his Texas career and look to finish in the top 10 for the first time since 1983. They take on number 20 Washington in the Culligan Holiday Bowl in San Diego. And during the game, go to ESPN.com to take part in Verge Friday. You can watch, play, and follow along as our 2 coaches second guess the guys on the field. He starts with a short completion over the middle. Sean Gregory to the 43, hit immediately by Coy Dwyer. Now, Georgia Tech, if they can grind out a couple of first downs, maybe make Stanford use one of the last couple of timeouts. Even if they do eventually have to kick it away, they really help themselves.
And Dave, they're starting at the 37-yard line on this drive. They're getting much the better of the field position game from the punts. The exchanges of punts give Georgia Tech about 10 yards a pop.
Second down and short. And that is caught by Matvey, the tight end, for a first down at midfield.
I'm going to tell you what I love about this, guys. How many times do you see a team up, field goal, touchdown, 5-6 minutes ago, they get the ball and they hand it off. They try and just burn the clock a little bit, burn the clock. Georgia Tech is staying in their offense. Their offense is a short passing game, set up the run, set up the long pass, and they're staying right in it. Now they'll go and try and hammer it out and run a little bit.
Gregory has a big hole on the other side, and hello, head on, he meets Gary Cobb.
You got to hand it to Cobb, though. He didn't back off. He went up there and took the big back on.
He gives up 31 pounds in that head-to-head collision.
These are a couple of men saying hello to each other right here.
That's good football. These guys want to win. Both teams playing extremely hard.
Well, I tell you what, Cobb did a nice job of sticking in there and hanging on, and Gregory, woof, trying to tear him.
Gregory gets 9 and gets the clock under 5 minutes. However, he will not get the first down, and it will be 3rd and still 1.
And there's a disturbing pattern in Georgia Tech's running game. On 2nd and short, they get stuffed, and then on 3rd and short, they've been stuffed, and it's cost them a couple of drives, maybe more than a couple.
This is a 2-minute.
They actually lost yardage here. The other thing Georgia Tech's not doing well right now is to use all of the clock. They're not letting it go down to 4 or 5 seconds. They're just staying in their normal rhythm, as you said, Mike, and I think this is the time to let more time run off the clock.
This is a 2-minute play right here. They make this first down, they'll be able to burn another couple of minutes off the clock.
Darcy does here. Get it down to 1 on the snap clock before the pass, and it is juggled. Is it complete? Yes. And it's a first down to Smith at the 34.
Ooh, tough catch.
Yeah,
tough call by the official. If you're in the NFL, you would get a review, one of those little things thrown out on the field.
A little red beanie, a little red flag.
But again, a nice throw. Very nice throw.
Got it.
By golly, I think he did catch the thing. He sure did. Good job, Jonathan Smith. Now you need to use all of the clock, Mr. Godsey.
Much better job the last 2 plays. Now they get the clock stopped on the out pattern. Good for 8 yards to Campbell.
All right, Mike, there's so much to be said for what you commented on a minute ago. I'll just let you say it again.
Well, about staying in their rhythm and staying in their offense. Now, the only thing here is, okay, I like the out route, but don't you try and get down before you go out of bounds.
In no way.
I mean,
you got to take the completion.
Right, I understand that, but I tell you what, given my choice, I'll take that play. I'll take the 2nd and 2. Absolutely, they're staying right in it.
Campbell's 10th catch, 106 yards and a touchdown. Now he will be missed. Another out.
By the same play.
Incomplete. This one was intended for Smith.
Yeah,
who slipped on the cut.
It's going to be another easy first down for Georgia Tech if he doesn't fall on this turf.
Everybody slipped, both of them.
Yep. They both fell down. That's a shame. That's a shame. They should do a better job with the turf, and they could do that.
It's a shame the grass or the turf would have to, have an outcome like that, or it's not right.
Well, in the turf defense, speaking as the attorney for the turf, did well during baseball season.
The attorney for the turf.
Gregory should have the first.
Chiro liked it, didn't he?
It never in a million years thought it was going to have a football game.
Boy, you're not kidding.
That was a very big play right there.
Yep.
Excellent job of coming off the football. Georgia Tech offensive line, left guard Leon Robinson, center David Schmidt-Gall, Nat Dorsey, the big left tackle. They knocked the Stanford front people back, and they made that first down, and they really need to work this clock now.
And now you're starting to get to the point where if you're Stanford, you have to start burning your 2 remaining timeouts. Still on the ground, and Matt Fredericks wrapping up Gregory at the line of scrimmage. No timeout will be called here.
All right, gonna burn some more. Hang on to those 2.
Loss of 1.
Now Georgia Tech really needs to keep it in bounds, Bill, no matter what they do, pass or run. Keep that clock moving. They got to force Stanford to burn one.
Mac McWhorter, whose only previous head coaching duty came at Division II West Georgia, 1989. Now 2 minutes and 15 seconds away from a bowl victory as a head coach. There's a strike to Smith. who carries Cobb down here at the 5, and it's 1st and goal, Georgia Tech.
He's a happy brother.
When you got a veteran quarterback that you trust implicitly, you'll start the game as Georgia Tech did, throwing out of the back of his own end zone, and try to finish it coming down the stretch here when the commentators are standing up here saying run the ball, run the ball, run the clock out, and you just keep right on running your offense.
He's digging it. And, you know, talking to all the Georgia Tech players and coaches, you could just tell that they had the, you know, loose attitude. We're going to go out there and just throw it all out there and see what happens. That's exactly what they've done.
Smith to the 6, 1st and goal from there. Gotze looking into for Matvey, and the clock stops at 1:40.
Trying to slam it into the end zone here, Bill, aren't they?
And knowing Mac McWhorter, this guy's come a long way, because there was a time when Mac and I were working together, we'd have been in 2 tights with 3 backs trying to hammer it in no matter what down here.
How much is he auditioning for the job right now?
I really don't have any idea, Mike, because I just know that Dave Brain said he had not made a decision, and Mac trusted him in that. And one would have to hope that this would have some impact.
2 tight ends. 2nd and goal carried by Gregory to the 3. And the Cardinal finally with the next to last timeout call at 1:32.
Now, in terms of a capacity to run the clock out with 1 timeout left, if Georgia Tech can get this under 1:10, well, they're not going to make a 1st down here, obviously.
But they can wrap it up if they can punch it in. Well, who knows who will be in charge of those sidelines next year. For now, for the last 1:32, it's Mac McWhorter. Whether this is an audition, whether he has a chance to coach himself into the permanent job, only Dave Brain knows. Stories the last 2 days have the job about to be offered to Chan Gailey, Dolphins offensive coordinator. All that matters now is if they can punch it in, or at least leave Tyrone Willingham 99 yards to go, even if they don't score, and try to run the clock as much as possible. The Cardinal down to their last timeout now, and it's 3rd and goal for the Yellow Jackets from the 2. That's the option pitch. Goes to Campbell. Nobody saw that coming. What a play for the touchdown for Georgia Tech.
You know, I can do nothing but applaud that. That was just a fantastic call. Wow.
What a great job by Bill O'Brien to have that play in for the goal line. Not unlike the play they scored on previously, although this one came off the option.
That was just pretty. And Mac told us last night he's both his coordinators. He's given them full reins to run the offense and the defense. And Bill O'Brien has called a heck of a game.
Luke Mange has never missed a PAT in his career. 134 out of 134. Call of the year for Bill O'Brien and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, he knows it. The guys are over there patting him on the back. Oh, look at the block on Hoover by Nat Dorsey. Marcus Hoover, number 92, is supposed to have contained, but he couldn't get the job done this time.
There was every reason to expect Stanford to win this game. Georgia Tech had lost its head coach. They had lost their leading rusher. They had an interim head coach and a number 11 opponent to face, and they had lost 3 of their last 4 games in the regular season. But they're a minute 23 seconds away from pulling off this upset in the first Seattle Bowl.
Little option reverse. Keep an eye on Big Nat Dorsey, number 70. You're going to see him come right back in your screen. Oh, right at he just laid out Marcus Hoover, who should have had contain on that. Oh, he knows it. Mac knows it. Unfortunately for Ty, he knows it too.
Lee Torrance with a nice return out to the 36. Lewis picking up the low snap and then throwing it out of bounds with 1:16.
One of the things that impressed me the most about what the players said about Mac McWhorter and obviously they would love him to be the head coach next year, the underclassman that we talked to, is the way that he will get on you. He will jump on you, especially for mental mistakes. He works them extremely hard, but if you make a mistake, he gets on you, but then it's positive reinforcement. It's, you know what, you're like when Sean Gregory dropped the one pass on the 3rd and 10, I saw him talking to him on the sideline. You could almost hear him say, you're going to get a chance later in the game. You blew that one now, you're going to get a chance later in the game to make it up, so make it up for me. It's that positive reinforcement.
And he did, the way he ran on the last drive.
All alone, Wells. It's out of bounds, but not enough for the first down. It was impossible to ignore how loose McWhorter had the coaches, and more importantly, the Georgia Tech players yesterday.
The players were loose and aggressive for this game. I think it would be more difficult to hold the coaching staff together than the players. The players are going to be at Georgia Tech next year, the undergraduates. They know where they're going to be.
That's right.
These coaches don't have a clue what's going to happen to their families or how they're going to make a living, and yet they remain utterly loyal to this whole cause of winning this game.
What did he say?
Well, even if they're not in the same jobs next year, there's a big 3rd down stop by Gathers.
And that forces the last timeout to be blown.
Barry's Kerry Carter, and the clock stops at 1:02. Even if they're not at Georgia Tech next year, they've stated a pretty good case for someone to pick them up next year.
Absolutely. And Bill, you know, you've been obviously player and coach, and what it shows me is when it gets down to coaches just coach. I mean, these coaches, these assistants that we just talked about, they've got to have resumes going out. They've got to be in contact with people in case they have to be looking for jobs somewhere else. But when it comes down to it, they coached the players for this game. That's what coaches do.
Well, Mac McWhorter is the kind of man. There's Glenn Spencer, who coaches the running backs, also one of our players on the Ted Roof teams through the mid-'80s. Mac has a way of getting your attention. He can be as hard-nosed as anybody in the business. Here comes Gregory off. This is just after he dropped the first down pass. Mac's telling him exactly what, if you'll just look at the football, you're going to catch the next one. We're going to need you to help us win this game. And Gregory went right back out and ran extremely well on the final drive that ended up in a touchdown.
Player said practice has changed a little bit. Mac said, you know, he threw his personality into it a little bit different from George O'Leary. They went a little more best on best, a little more one-on-one. Guys going, you know, the top going against the top to work it out a little more. Practice, they said, didn't change that much, but, you know, it was a new attitude from a new coach.
Well, it's competition. He loves to compete. You put your best on your best, and you get a different level of practice, and there's no magic to that. I mean, there's nothing new about that. That's just something that Mac happens to prefer. He always has.
Stanford hoping for its first 10-win season since '92, only its 4th in school history, down to this. Down 10, 4th and 3. Lewis has that one almost intercepted and incomplete, intended for Luke Powell, and 56 seconds away from a very sweet upset victory for Georgia Tech in the Seattle Bowl. And our Capital One players of the game, outgoing senior quarterback George Godsey, 23 of 37, 266 yards, and a key early touchdown pass to Kelly Campbell. Off the bench, Chris Lewis got Stanford back into this game within 17-14 by throwing for 110 yards and the touchdown to Teo Johnson and the 2-point conversion to Ryan Wells.
You could pass out a lot of game balls in this game. No, Ted Roof, the defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, they just held Stanford, who averages 37 points a game, to 14 points, their lowest output of the year.
And they hold them 101 yards below their Pac-10 leading 451 yards
off the
game.
bench, Chris. Bill, those aren't guys that are worrying about where they're going next year, what they're doing. Those are guys enjoying the fruits of their labor right now.
And watch these kids. The coaches told us last night, if we can pull this off, the players will go absolutely berserk, and that's what they're doing on the sideline.
Yep. It's going to be a happy new year after all for the Georgia Tech football program. And for Mac McWhorter, if this is his only game as the head coach of the Yellow Jackets, he'll never forget it. Georgia Tech wins the inaugural Seattle Bowl. 24-14 over number 11 Stanford. And the Godsey brothers will have some fun tonight. Let's go down to Michelle, who is with Mac McCourt.
All right, well, Coach, coming into this game, you said you liked your athletic matchups, and you dominated the first half. Stanford made a run in the second. Both sides of the ball really came up big to take this thing over late.
I'm really proud of our kids. I tell you, we've been in this situation so many times this year and didn't come up and finish the job. And I'm just so proud of them playing as hard as they did to get it finished at the end. And I can't say enough about the character of our football team.
After all this team has been through over the last month in particular, it was said that if you won this game, your players would go crazy. How much did this mean to this particular Georgia Tech team?
A lot. It really did. You know, to finish the season with 8 wins after how much we were maligned throughout the season for not meeting the expectations that we had. I'm just so proud of them for finishing strong the way they have.
And, Coach, I know you want to enjoy this, but I have to ask you, you want this Georgia Tech job. How far do you think this win goes in helping your campaign to get this job?
You know, Michelle, I don't know. I really don't. That's not my hands, and what was in my hands we took care of, and I'm really happy about that.
Congratulations, Mac.
Thank you very much.
Go enjoy it. Dave?
Yeah, he preached all week. Control what you can and take care of what you can control. That's exactly what they did. And George Godsey rewards Mac with the game ball.
Great to see. Great to see. And like you said, Dave, no matter what happens with Mac, if he doesn't get this job, he's 1-0. He would be 1-0 as head coach at Georgia Tech in a great bowl victory over a top 15 team in number 11 Stanford.
College Game Day scoreboard coming up next. So long from Safeco Field, where again our final, Georgia Tech 24, Stanford 14. For Mike Golick, Bill Curry, and Michelle Tafoya, Dave Barnett, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now college football scoreboard with Chris Fowler.
And